now. Holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 448 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka. Here, the Barstool Sports podcast family. The whole gang is here in Las Vegas. Fired up. We're here for Game 5. Just left Fort Lauderdale for Game 4. Let's go around the circle here with the arm dog, Colby Armstrong. What's going on, my man?
What do you want me to get into right now? I mean, This has been unbelievable, from getting to Fort Lauderdale to crushing the elbow room to burrito dinner with Gary Lawless.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the taco dinner.
Oh, buddy. And then next morning, bright and early, right to Vegas immediately, and just been here ever since. It's been a hell of a trip. We haven't even got to Game 5 yet here while we're in Vegas, boys.
We usually like to vent our travel frustrations. I mean, I think Whit started that
I've
off.
never talked about any travel frustrations besides Pearson.
Well, I openly hate
By the
Air
way,
Canada.
where are you coming in from? Bali? Where were you last before you ended up getting to Vegas?
This whole vacation thing, like, if you guys are looking for an apologies for the vacations, I don't know what to tell you. I'll
He was
tell
at
you
a
right
health
now.
retreat.
Next year I'm going to go on more, and then the next year on that I'm going to go on more. And at some point when my kids are old enough, I'm going to live on vacation. I won't even live anywhere.
Yeah.
So
You should get
if you think that I'm going to apologize for the vacations for my family, you're fucking crazy, Biz. I'll tell you that right
We
now.
should get like a timeshare ad deal or something. Merle's could hop in the
Hey,
middle.
just let me know where you're going.
I've gone on vacation this year once, I think. Once.
But hey, can we not all have a laugh at the fact that it seemed like at least 22 weeks in a row some member of his family was on vacation?
Yeah, it's called. She's my wife, and she runs the show and goes wherever she wants, and I just
God
sit there and
bless her.
take it.
I would
That's
love.
why he's
bless
here
her.
now. He's allowed to come to Vegas.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. Hey, if I send you to Costa Rica, then Portugal, can I go to Vegas with you guys? Sure.
Which travel agent is as rich as Jeff Bezos?
Yeah. It is Jeff Bezos. It wasn't Amazon. It was my travel budget.
Now, but a lot of the media members were complaining about the travel from Miami to Vegas. I think that was a regular occurrence, just given maybe the lack of direct flights. But
which shocks me.
And the schedule changed at the last second, I think.
No, but for
'Cause-
those two cities, like Miami and Vegas, to me, seem like there should be 40 direct flights a day.
Yeah, right.
Those are just a city full of absolute party degenerates.
Cocaine
just send
cousins.
them back and forth. What, all right?
They're like cocaine cousins, Miami
No,
and
that's you.
Vegas.
no, that was you and Vinny Viola's box.
We'll
the
get
other
into
night.
that, guys. All you listeners, wait till you hear about RA.
I don't
this
blame
one,
RA.
boys.
I heard it's the nicest
Yeah,
granite
I
in
mean,
all
I
of
got
South
drunk and watched
Florida.
the fucking
and
Stanley Cup.
He wanted to test out. But we got to get a Pray for Army hashtag, because on that flight from Miami to Vegas, you had to sit in a middle seat.
Buddy, I
like
get
a
in my
civilian.
middle seat. I updated. So you know how you go on, you check in, you go to get your seat. I upgraded,
Sick upgrade.
of course, to a exit row. So at least I was stretched out.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
But I was with these two like goon worker bees that were like click, 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 click. They were on their laptops the whole time. So I'm like grinding in the middle. Thank God, you know the seats how you could crank up the middle thing and then crank it around your head so your head can't bobble?
Yeah, the neck brace.
The neck brace. I cranked the neck brace up hard because I didn't want to fall on a guy. So I was tired, man. After the game, we got back late. Then we had the 6 a.m. pickup Uber to get out, take that flight here, which was, I think, a Merle idea, which is a good idea because we got it at 11 o'clock in the morning, which gave us a full day yesterday here to like hang out.
that was-
To
chill,
recover from your night with Gary
It was
Lawless.
awesome. Yeah, so my night with Gary Lawless for a burrito dinner. What a beauty. I love that guy.
But Merles, you did have a good idea, and I want you to share it with everybody.
I'm gonna solve all
Air-
these
It's the
issues
worst
for
idea of all
everybody.
time.
It's probably
What do you
worst.
mean? We
the
saw.
I love the idea.
Worst airline idea since Hooters. So
Hey.
let me hear it.
Hey, we'll call it Chiclets Game Notes Air.
Yes.
Hey, let's go.
Who did we see at 6 a.m. in Miami Airport?
Panger.
Darren Pang. The other
Best guy
from,
ever.
The other guy from Sportsnet going by. We seen
Yeah.
all these
David
media
Amber.
taking dog shit flights, the worst times. Stop. One guy came by. I got to do a stopover. We see Brady Kachuk in the box. Do you want to come to game? We could have been like, let's go to Game 5 with us. We get Chiclets Air. We get a 200-seater. And it's all for
A
media.
200-seat
I
private
think
plane.
those are
Family.
like 50 million, maybe more.
No,
It would-
for a one flight?
What a Spirit airline, they sell the tickets for $200 a pop. Say there's 50 rows times 6. That's 300 seater. And they're selling them for $200. I'm going to sell them for $1,000 a pop. You think I'm not going to sell that thing out in between the finals between
hey, TNT.
press
But
and family?
if you get a Spirit plane and buy all the seats, you still have to do security, and you're still on a Spirit airline.
No,
so
it's
you
not
just
going
want
to be Spirit. It's going to be a charter. It's going to be a charter
You're like Miami
with
Air.
that many seats. Do you understand that charters don't have to all be like beds?
I don't think
recliners?
charter pricing works like that.
Yes,
though.
I took one plane for the Pittsburgh
it.
Penguins. We were on a regular plane. It was our charter when we were
Yeah,
bankrupt. And you're welcome, Pittsburgh, for getting your Sidney Crosby.
Miami Air.
That's another
It was
story.
Miami Air, I remember.
I'm telling you guys. Oh, fine. Guys, you guys don't want a part of it? I'll do it on my own.
I want it. I'm
All right.
sorry.
You got
I'm
me
sorry.
sold. I love
I'm
the
sorry.
idea.
Who are you going to hire for staffing? Are you going to get Andre Wada to hand out the appetizers?
You put a
and drinks?
cookie in his ass and away he goes.
Only
No, we
chocolate
said
chip
before
cookies.
there's going to be craps the whole time. That doesn't count. There was turbulence. That wasn't a 7. I didn't roll that. It was actually an 11.
Oh, busy.
I'm telling you, we're on to something here. Everybody took terrible flights in between both cities. There's definitely an idea there.
Okay.
I think
Somebody
it's
out there
huge.
listening.
Well, that was a good intro for Army. We kind of got off to a hot start there. Anything else that
Yeah,
you
there
want to
we
touch
go.
on from your in-game experience? I saw you
Oh,
were
I
pretty
loved it.
close to the glass in Florida for Game
So
4.
can I say this? I will start by saying this. Thank you to the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Everyone in their staff, from Tiffany, the manager in the Panther Club, which was so cool to get into, like Dan Marino, Chuck was in there, Charles Barkley. Who else was in there?
Let me ask you, Dan Marino's a notorious, pretty mean guy.
I went right up to him when I saw him because I met him at Lemieux's golf tournament years ago, and I went right up to him. I was just like, hey,
That was your in?
yeah, I was like, hey, I
You were
met
a
you.
seeker.
How many?
I'm like,
how
hey, I'm
many
a
words
loser.
Did Mario come up?
That's the first sentence.
He's just like, hey, Dan, Mario. He's like, what
no,
the
yeah.
fuck?
I was like, hey, Dan, I met you at Mario Lemieux golf tournament out in Latrobe, PA.
He's like, beat it, kid.
You get
No,
ahead
and
of your skis.
he's
You're like,
like, oh, yeah.
Mario Lemieux son.
He's like, oh
Y'all
yeah,
going live?
yeah, that's cool. I go golf back. I go home every year to golf at that course. It's so nice. I was
Gave
like,
you the
yeah,
dead
it was
fish.
so nice. It was really good. Chatted with him for a second. Weaseled away from there. Caldwell came in. What's his title? Caldwell,
He's the CEO of the team.
CEO of the team.
Thordy must have been running around.
Thordy was in there. Like Thordy was amazing.
Sean Thornton, everyone.
Yeah,
He
Sean
was crushing
Thornton,
it.
ex-NHLer, Stanley Cup champ, and just he was amazing with people, from their staff to like the people that are kind of members at the Panther Club. I guess it's going to change next year. I was getting a whole.
Can you
rundown.
please explain into further
Panther
detail what
Club-
the Panther Club is?
It's like a speakeasy nightclub. There was a DJ in the corner. By the way, when the puck dropped, I thought the DJ would stop. It didn't.
That's actually sick,
It
though.
was sick. Like I was like, this is unreal. Free food, free booze the whole time you're in there. It was unbelievable. Gee, who's the guy that gave us the tickets to?
Michael Casarius, Mark Zather, Bryce Hallweg. They were all unbelievable.
Wait.
But
Hey, they were unbelievable.
Is any relation to Ryan Hallwick?
Yeah, it's his
yeah,
brother.
it's his brother.
No way.
Yeah, he
Remember
was
that
the
menace?
best.
Oh,
man.
was that the guy
played
pouring
with
the
Ryan
shots?
Hallwick.
Yeah, just
That's
dishing it
Hallwig's
out.
brother?
Oh yeah.
What a
So
beauty. I
did
played junior against Hallweg,
Did
too. at
RA
NHL.
get into this box?
RA came in, and then he probably should have been like helicoptered out of there.
Wait,
like,
before RA though, Colby Armstrong ran this box.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
when
good.
I
That
say
was a
he
stuff
put on a
fucker.
show for the ages of networking, at one point I look over, Vinny Viola's got him in like a headlock. They're like fake punching each other, just best
Oh,
friends
we
all of
were.
a sudden.
We were. It was crazy.
wild.
Army's trying to get a contract.
Chairman of the
I'll
Florida
tell you
Panthers
this: Vinny
now.
Viola has like the greatest energy. He's loving it. He's positive. He loves his people. He loves his fans.
And they love
I was
Ryan
so
Whitney.
impressed with him. And Doug Sifu came up. I introduced myself to him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Doug Sifu." I'm like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Hey," I'm like, "I'm with Spittin Chiclets." He goes, "Oh, make sure you tell Ryan Whitney, anytime he wants to come back here, he's welcome." He played 7 games for us, and he's like, "We'll never forget it." And just tell him, "You guys are doing a great job. Thank you for everything." Tell Whit he's allowed back anytime. I literally went in Hockey DB'd you. I'm like, yeah, he was right. 7 games.
7 games, 0 goals, 0 assists,
Minus
0
8.
points, -8.
No, he did say this. He did say
And-
this. He
and-
goes,
and-
I think he was like -5 or something.
No, it was actually I think it was 7. I think it was -1 every game, maybe -3 one game, and then whatever, even another game. I remembered Kevin Dineen was the coach, and he's like, "All right, yeah, we gave you a shot, but we're scratching it tonight." And I was like, "Oh, that's okay." And I got scratched 3 or 4 games. Then all of a sudden, it was you're on waivers, and then I never saw the NHL again. I got called up, but that was it. I just got to go. They called me up, I think, as like a nice go out to LA and be with the team and just go out, and that's it. And then I was off to Russia.
Army talked him into a bobblehead night next year.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a bobblehead
Ari
night.
was a
Yes,
human
miss.
bobblehead in
Oh,
there.
all right. Let's talk about your
So, all right,
performance.
let's
So
talk
hold
about
on, hold on. Before we go there, thank you, Florida Panthers. Thank you, Vinny Viola. Thank you, all their staff and everyone. It was above and beyond. So thank you, Florida. I'll get that out of the way right now. Just everyone that you named, G, to RA was
Okay, so
incredible.
back to RA. So RA, I wasn't there, but what I've been told, you were as fucked up as any person's ever been. And the question I have is, when you looked over at Grinelli and go, and stuck your tongue out with all these mushrooms in, like, why take mushrooms before an NHL Stanley Cup Final game?
Okay,
Go to
let's
an like maybe go to a concert and take mushrooms.
Let's backpedal on that. I was given 1 microgram mushroom. It was 1 stem that I took, I think, early.
That was a big stem.
It was still, it was a microdose. It was like, it wasn't anything that was going to fuck me up. It's not like I was eating 3 grams going to a concert. It was like literally like a microdose.
So that's not what fucked you up.
So what fucked you up?
The fucking the Pink Whitney shots, the Big Deal brews, the fucking then going to the Panther Den or Panther Bar and drinking margaritas there. I mean, I was fucking watched the game. I was like cognizant. I was shit faced, but I watched the game. I didn't bother anybody. Didn't break nothing.
Who scored?
Jesus Christ, I remember this dead soul, but I know Vegas went up 3-0. Florida got the next 2 goals. Barkov got the first one, and then actually Montour got the first one. Barkov got the second one.
There you go.
And then Pietrangelo had put the puck over the glass. They had the 6-on-4 to end it. Big skirmish. We screwed because Grinelli wanted to beat the crowd. We want to get ahead of the crowd. We screwed out of there. I remember seeing Shane Doan up there. Like this is one of those like, oh, I got a piece tonight. They got to text the guys after. I mean, I was feeling
That's
good.
amazing to
But
hear.
I was feeling good. But the fucking drinks would come, and the waitresses, bartenders made a nice stiff.
Can we show the video where the waitress is like, "Do you want a water, sir? You should have a water."
I'm
And
sure
he's
you need the mix with it.
I need a water.
But like I did, I ate like I mean, it's legit.
I need water.
What's our plan? Are we waiting to see Biz? Or are we out of here? What are we doing? I don't know. What do you think?
Go Cats, go!
It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Had a good time. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't
what
bother anybody. I didn't get any.
what did you see?
Morals
bad
has been at
browsing
every
reports.
Stanley Cup Final
Wait,
game.
time
by
out
the
though.
way.
Time out. Pasha just texted me this. We didn't want to beat the crowd. We left almost an hour after the game.
Well, I remember you saying like let's go this way or something like
we
let's get
stayed
it.
in
let's leave the
Club.
arena because we're getting
no,
kicked
it was
out.
like a hop 2 situation. Like all right, let's go.
The
'Cause
cool thing about
sometimes we all get scattered and everyone ends up going to a different exit.
The cool thing about the Panther Club, though, and I wasn't there, but I was told, so they don't close until the last person wants to leave. So the girl apparently was like, we've been here till 5 a.m. before. So it's not like
No, it's
a lot of
electric.
arenas
It's
are done in the
electric.
third period serving booze or after the game you got to go. Like there, it's a club. Like you're staying until you
Pulled
want to
pork
leave.
sandwiches, macaroni and cheese. People are ordering stuff. It's coming out nonstop. I thought people were like paying for it. I had no clue. Like, what rink do you go to that you don't have to pay? Like, I don't know. I don't understand this.
Well,
Or
it's
you
a
get
private
buffet.
box, but I get what you're saying.
But yeah, and anyways, everyone's just grabbing these things off of it and like just pounding food. Like,
Were you
it was-
able to get in there, Merle?
Yeah, so the funny part is the house red wine is Camus. You know, like Camus, the
Wow.
$50 a glass. That's just the house red in there.
That's
And
sick.
just so you know, I know we did this last week. You were calling it Vegas voice. This is just permanently my voice now. You know, I've done it. I think, was it PFT called it the Chiclets Decathlon, if you could do every game of this series. So I've done it so far. I've done all 5 games. Florida Panthers treated us well. I had my rainbow game, and it won. I was on them. It was tough. I had to go against them in
Dark
game
cloud
4.
game.
Dark cloud came over the entire city, and it was so awkward being in there the whole time.
Cheering for the Knights.
Yeah, like, and everybody
Somebody
knew. I
silently,
wasn't
like,
cheering,
doing
but
the
like
silent
everybody
fist bumps.
knew. They're like, I heard you went against us. I heard you went against us.
Yeah.
A prominent
They watch our
NHLer
show.
who has a brother in the series is like, I heard you went against them tonight, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, no. He's like, I was so scared to say that I was on him.
buddy,
but
when I went
had
down
to
in
be
the
on
crowd,
them.
Mer, too, like, I don't know if you felt this. We were right below where Busy's was. Just up from, I waved at you at one time. You
Yep,
waved
I
at
saw
us.
ya.
It was awesome. And when I went down in there, everyone was like, yeah, they were cheering for us and shit. It was kind of cool to feel because I
Yeah.
was like, this is sick. And then we sat down and like we were in like third row from the glass. So it's like every hardcore fan. And these guys were all over me a little bit about like me being on Vegas.
Oh, they already knew.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, they
okay.
saw the noon show that we did, the Game Notes Daily.
Well, we
so-
should probably get. I mean, we haven't spoken since Game 2 ended, right? Last time we did the pod, it was 2-0 Vegas. It looked like it could be a sweep, and Game 3 was the rainbow game. And if you haven't been watching Game Notes Daily, which has crushed it even in the finals, every game we got a show. We'll have one tomorrow or today for you guys listening at noon. Murley was working out and happened to see a giant rainbow over the Atlantic Ocean, and because of that, it was the Panthers. I don't really know why. I don't know what, but it worked.
It stretched the entire view along the Atlantic on that side from our hotel past
was from
Elbow
Boston
Room,
to Florida.
all
It was
the
a
way up to
huge rainbow.
Pompano, all the way up to West Palm Beach, all the way up to Jordan's course. It went the whole distance of Florida, and I was like, this got to be a good sign for Florida. So that's why I took Florida, and they won.
Funny thing is, I was laughing at you for that because it was like, oh, what a lunatic, like rainbow play, like, oh my God, it's Pride Month. Then we started saying there's rainbows everywhere. What's this animal thinking? And then all of a sudden,
No, it's just a target.
he was right. He was right.
Yeah, he's right. But that was a great game. I mean, amazing comeback.
Holy shit.
Why don't we get into how Game 3 went? I guess. All right.
Absolutely. First off, we do have to thank the Tin Roof down at Fort Lauderdale too. We had a little meet up there. Thank you, Pink Whitney, Big Deal Brew. Anybody else we're leaving out here? G, right?
No.
Yeah.
So that's the Rat King shirt you had on at the game. Has that been washed since?
Actually, this is a brand new copy. No, I
Okay, nice.
threw
You got
laundry
two
on
of
the
them.
road.
You got two
The
of them.
one arm might be stretched out for me holding him up while we were walking.
Oh no, who else was? My stunt double was in the box too. Who?
Bill Daly.
Bill Daly was in
yeah.
there.
I
We
chat with
kind of like
him.
sized each other up. I'm like, people are saying I look like you for a long time now.
Just two Scott Van Pelt hanging out.
So Pasha's like, go stand next to him and play with your phone because he was on his phone. I don't know if they sent the picture.
No, I
We
saw
got
that.
the photo. We
Yeah,
saw
it was pretty
yeah.
good stuff. So yeah, thanks to Tin Roof once again.
Guys, before we keep going, you know what I'm here to talk about, and that is the Pank Drank, New Amsterdam's own Pink Whitney. And let me tell you, today at 1 o'clock at the beer house, it's going to be flowing. It was flowing down in Florida at the Tin Roof before the finals, Game 3 and 4. It's going to be flowing tonight. We got people doing shots. We got people doing the energy drink with the Pink Whitney, and we got people just Pink Whitney on the rocks sometimes. Those are the true savages. So I think, Merle, you saw it all the way down the beach, right?
I take it with the soda water, and when I'm on the beach now, this guy put a lime on it, just on
Ooh.
top. It just made me feel like I was on vacation.
And I'm looking forward to it in Nashville when we're there for the draft because we're going to be getting a couple sandbaggers in. And is there anything better than the birdie juice?
No, it gets us going. It gets us
It
going.
gets the
birdie
liquid
juice, the
putt
sailing
draining.
juice, the fishing juice. You can use it in any single aspect of your life besides driving. And other than that, you're drinking Pink Whitney. You're enjoying life, catching a buzz, loving the pink drink. So Army's holding it up. We're about to chug some ourselves in Vegas. Let's go, Beer House, Pink Whitney. Let's enjoy it.
Yeah, you want to go back to Game 3 with that overtime? Let's go right to that tripping call right away. Was that a bullshit call? I know. I mean,
Yeah.
he got knocked down.
Well, it was going into overtime.
Yeah,
It was,
10
I think, the
seconds left.
Yeah, last 10 seconds in regulation. I felt that, a few calls Florida's gotten hosed on. Even there was one in over the course of Game 4, but I don't think it's like nobody's denying that it was an awful call. And in real time, I think Gretzky pointed out on the broadcast, he's like, unless you're for sure with that much time left, given the stakes of the game, you got to fucking make sure that you 100% saw what happened. And they ended up getting shafted. At least they ended up getting the right guy, so to speak, as to who he made contact
Right.
with originally with, who it was, Forsling.
Yeah, Forsling,
But I mean, the coolest part about all of it was Paul Maurice's speech right before the overtime started. I don't know if you guys ended up seeing the whole thing and just how he's been able to motivate his players throughout the whole course of the run. And sure as shit, they get the kill, and then they finally ended up scoring in overtime. But the only reason that they ended up getting there, Matthew Tkachuk, man, another magical performance. I mean, was there any surprise that he was able to not only get that assist, then he gets knocked out of the game, goes to concussion protocol, and then finds a way to tie the fucking thing in the last 3 minutes of the game?
I think that, and we'll go back into this game and everything, but what Matthew Tkachuk's doing right now it's pretty mind-blowing because when these injuries, and we're not going to give it away, when these injuries come out, what this kid's playing with right now, he's basically Mel Gibson in the final scene of Braveheart screaming freedom as his head's about to get cut off because this dude has about, I don't know, I'm going to say 3, if not 4 major injuries, and you can tell, you're watching, he didn't even play, I think, the last 10 minutes of the third period. They put him out in Game 4 trying to tie it. But he's doing whatever he can, and he talked about coming back into the game to Kyle Bukowskis, I believe his name is, about it's the Stanley Cup Final. That's why I'm back. He has no business playing. I would go on a limb saying he could miss 2 months if it was the regular season right now. And you see what he's doing, and you see how hard he's playing, and you just got to give him respect. I mean, he's got nothing left, and everyone can tell it, and he's still out there. He almost ties up Game 4, but he was able to show up in Game 3.
Will versus skill. He's the ultimate Will.
He's Billy Bob right now. In Varsity Blues. He's just getting put back out there. Bud Kilmer just saying, go back out there.
They're like, don't stick that needle in his knee. Do you stick that needle in his knee? If you stick that needle in his knee, I'm not coming out.
And Chuck's like, get the fuck out, close the door. Stick that needle in me, motherfucker. That's what's happening right now. He wants it.
But that was a ballsy win in Game 3 because, like, to tie it up late and then to get that kill, because there's a lot of times where if you get a penalty late and it's a legit call, it's like, all right, guys, like, let's get this kill. And if you get a penalty called against you that's bullshit, and that play, I mean, who was it? Stone, I believe, who cut into the middle in the penalty?
Stevenson.
It was Stevenson, excuse me. He caught the foot of the defender. It wasn't a trip. At that point in the game, Stanley Cup Final, you don't call it in my eyes. A lot of times when you get a shit call against you, it's harder to get the kill in a way, right? You're so down and you're so rattled that it was a bullshit call, but they buckled down. They got the 12 seconds, and then they finished it off in overtime and got the win. That could have been pretty easy for them to just be like, oh my God. And it could have been easy for LA, I mean, Vegas to get an OT winner right there on the power play. So it was amazing that they were able to get back in the series. But personally watching, I still said, God, it took them that much to win a game.
Yeah.
It still seemed like Game 4 was going to be all Vegas, and it turned out to be that way.
The biggest thing I mushed, I was texting with Vegas insider Miggsy. I was like, oh, this fucking game's over. Because remember, they couldn't get any shots through.
Yep.
They had 17 shots on net through the first 57 minutes of the game. And, like, we're talking about one and dones, not much sustained pressure. And I think it all goes back to this. I mean, Vegas' depth, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but their fucking depth on D and their defenders and how they get sticks on pucks, how they close on you. And you mentioned being able to sit 3 rows up behind the glass. That's where you really start noticing how quick that guys are getting closed on, where there's no time and space to make plays. And on top of that, sacrificing their body. I know we've mentioned the top 2 shot blockers in the league with McNabb and Martinez, and how well of a job they've done, but even all the way down, they're fifth and sixth defenseman, their third pairing, their fifth. Sorry, I got Vegas mouth, cotton mouth right now.
Marvel mouth.
I got into one of RA's bags.
No, it'd be way worse.
No, it was way worse. The corner be coming up here.
But their third pairing, it looks like a fucking first pairing out there right now. In Game 4, they ended up being on the ice for every goal 4 and chipped in offensively on each of the goals. Hag with 2 assists and White Cloud with 1. So they are just a well-oiled machine. And you talk about one team fighting off all these injuries. And you mentioned just Tkachuk. There's probably like 5 or 6 guys that will be off for probably about 6 weeks to 2 months once this is over and the laundry list of injuries come out, where it's just it feels like the Russian versus Rocky. At least in the earlier rounds right now. So if there's any chance for this Florida team to come back, Bob's going to have to pull a rabbit out of his ass in Game 5.
Good in Game
They're going to
4.
have to bring in some spiritual healer. I don't know if ayahuasca could do the trick on this team right now, but they're going to need. I don't think they have a chicken dick's chance in hell of winning Game 5 in Vegas. That's just my opinion. And a pretty, as far as Tkachuk's concerned too, coming out of the box. Or excuse me, as Pietrangelo came out of the box in Game 4, just like the shitstorm that he caused, even being injured the way he is, I thought it really, really embodied what this Florida team's all about.
Well, they know each other pretty well, right? Like with Petro being in St. Louis long, and they have had some battles.
Did he live
series.
at Tkachuk's house when he first came in there, didn't he?
Did he live with Keith right when he was a rookie, maybe?
I think he was a rookie, and he came in there, and he lived with them.
But Petro, we did training camp with him. I don't know him very well, but I also didn't really understand. He's a prick out there.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's dirty, and like all credit to him, right?
He's
like that's
huge.
why he's way bigger than people realize. He's so good at getting the puck out. He's just a great all-around true number 1 defenseman. But he's a prick, and I think you've seen Tkachuk and him go back and forth. Kind of, it shows. Like I don't care how friendly we are. Like this is the Stanley Cup. Fuck you. But Tkachuk, like you said, like the guy can barely stand up right now, and he's still starting a melee at the end of Game 4. So. It's amazing. And
Florida has finally met a team that's really not intimidated them. I would say Boston wasn't, but I feel like they didn't have an answer for how they were trying to be these bullies and these thugs out there, where Vegas seems unbothered. I mean, we talk about the size of the team, and obviously that plays a big factor, but they're not. I mean, in all these antics and shit, they knew it was happening coming into the series, but even throughout, it really hasn't had the impact it has had on the other 3 series in the East.
So Colasar, by the way, is the best 4th liner in the NHL.
Oh, he's
and I guess like him and Waugh and Carrier, like they could all.
Waugh's not a 4th liner.
No, I don't think any of them are. Maybe Carrier, like on most teams, 4th liner. I
16
think
goals this series, or 16 goals
this is
this
what they
season
say.
in 56 games.
I think all of those guys on 28
He's a
of
second
32
or third
teams
liner,
are
but on a
playing-
good team, he's a third or fourth liner. When you're on a good team.
I don't. How old is Colasar? Can you look that up, G? Quick?
Colasar's a beast.
Because if you tell me if he's like 24, 25, he might end up being a second or third line. Like maybe I'm totally wrong, and
The only thing
I
he's
got
missing-
recency bias going. But this guy, he's a machine out there.
He doesn't have as great a touch on finishing. If he cleaned that up,
Yeah.
he'd be like one of the best big body straight line complementary.
26
players.
years old.
He'd be Barbashev.
Yeah, he'd be like Tom Wilson. Be like that.
It's an amazing team, and I'd be very shocked if tonight that Florida can extend this series. Now, Merle's made a good point. Like, everyone's picking Vegas. Everyone. They're minus 175 going into tonight's game. It's still that final game, though, and closing it out is the hardest one. And you got Bobrovsky, and you got this team of Warriors on Florida. I think Vegas gets it done tonight, but it's definitely the hardest one to get.
Merle's.
But it would be pretty, I mean... I don't know the word I'm looking for, but they lost Game 5, right, against Washington, and they could win Game 5 at home to get.
Oh,
their
it's
Stanley
very
Cup. So
symbolic.
it's
That's the word you were looking for.
similar, I guess, in a sense. But and ironically enough, Army was at that game. Army was at Game 5
was there.
here, and
No
Washington
shit.
won it.
When they pulled the cup out.
Merles, I mean, from a gambling perspective, everybody's picking Vegas, but this Florida team, they're like a bad rash. They won't go away. So what are you feeling?
Yeah, and you could feel the tightness from Vegas just even in that game 4. They were up 3-0, like, oh, we're almost there. Like, we almost got it. And they tightened up. They got a little nervous. They let them back in the game. So that's going to be right there tomorrow. They're going to be so nervous and so tight that Florida will have a chance. I am not making an official pick right this minute. I'm still going to wait.
on Florida?
I'm going to wait for a sign or two, but
A rainbow.
Yeah, rainbow flag.
but I was in Vegas for games 1 and 2. This place is bonkers.
I can't wait.
I want to
It
ask you
is
about that. So
completely
you've been in both
bonkers.
places.
Yeah.
Busy, you've been in both places. End of the game, Pasha and you and me are sitting down there. I go, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go up top. So at least we're up there. So when it ends, we're not wrestling with fans to get up steps and get to the elevator, get back to the Panther Club. Pasha got, when the shit hit the fan down there with the gong show and Montour comes in, rams over McNabb. Everyone starts launching shit on the ice.
Trash move.
Trash move. They've got criticized for it, rightfully so. Pasha said, like, guys were getting, like, straight, like, ropes with rats at their heads down at the glass because we were behind the net. So there's a netting.
So if you don't get it over the...
the net. But some people just launching probably from upper deck, and they're just raining down on Pasha. I left him there. Pasha's like, I'm not going up. I'm not going up. Yeah,
I'll explain the two arenas in
So
the
explain
best
the
I can.
atmosphere, though, too.
In Vegas, it feels like it's a little steeper and a little tighter on them. And their colors are black and gold, and it's just red. And the arena infrastructure is all dark, and it just feels like a harder place. When you go down to Florida, it's more open, and then their jersey colors are red and that baby blue, and it feels more of like a circus, like a carnival, like a friendly atmosphere.
welcoming.
And it's also, I think
If that makes
it's
sense.
the biggest arena in the league.
It is.
It's almost too big in a sense throughout the year. Like if it was like almost 4,000 seats smaller, it'd be like a little better atmosphere. But you just reminded me, the oldest I've felt in a long time. I'm 40, Army's over 40, you're whatever, over 40.
Hey, let's keep that off the line here. Nobody needs to
you
know.
look young. Take
Nobody
it easy.
needs to
Shut
know.
up, Mur. Shut up, Mur. Ari's 73. So
What?
last night we go to dinner. And we're at this beautiful restaurant. Oh, actually, amazing food. Beauty in Essex, it's called, in the Cosmopolitan. Biz, everyone's in there. They're getting ready for a big night out. You know, it's Sunday in Vegas, but it's Saturday anywhere else. Dude, we're so old. Us three have
We
our
are
phone.
like the-
We have our phone lights on to read the menu. Like,
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
usually a sign.
It was a sign. I was like,
It's
we
a
shouldn't be. It's all these young studs and women like looking beautiful, like getting food, getting ready to go out, and we got like
Great
our reading
food.
glasses on and our iPhone light, trying to read what the menu is. So talk about dark. That was a depressing night.
Well,
for us.
no, more depressing than that is all of us were in bed by 10 p.m.
10
Our
p.m.
first night in Vegas.
That sounds responsible.
Yep.
Wait, Merle's
I
was
don't
like,
know.
this isn't what we're supposed to do. I'm like, no, I think
We have to
first
do
night
it
we
for
are supposed to
everybody
take
else
it-
out there. We got to do it for all the listeners. They want to hear the stories
I
of us out
landed
all
at
night.
10 a.m., dude. I did 12 hours here. I lost everything. I had to go to bed.
I was wondering your guys' thoughts on who, if you had to pick right now, would win the Conn Smythe, because it's a difficult decision.
So Biz, I asked that last night to Merle's, thinking it's I kind of have Eichel and Marcia show, and then
Correct.
Aiden Hill. Like if he has a shutout, you never know. He's been so good. I guess Marchessault's minus 600.
So Marchessault
I was surprised. That big?
The clear favorite. I just think because over the last 3 rounds, it's very, I don't want to say recency bias.
Like a goal a game.
Right. But I feel the way that Eichel's distributing the puck, and when you're a centerman, you have so many more responsibilities. I would put them neck and neck, and I would say that the last game is actually going to play a factor into it. And I tend to believe that the league wants its stars shining. So
he thinks the league wants a misfit because he was an original Vegas Golden Knight in terms of Marchessault.
Wow. Okay. So that's one theory. But I will say, going to the Aiden Hill pick, I don't look at this run being like an unbelievable goaltending performance. Although his numbers are incredible, he's done a great job.
He doesn't even sweat. I think
he's a team in front of him.
He's came up big when he's had to. Like in that Dallas series, he had 2 shutouts. But overall, how the team's playing, I view I feel like any competent goalie could have stepped in there and give them the ability to win in net. I would have to break it down to either Marchessault or Eichel. I think that Eichel's going to win it, but he's going to have to have a big game 5.
So let me tell you these odds. I don't know if it's a glitch on the Barstool Sports book, but Marchessault right now minus 670, Jack Eichel plus 2,000. So Jack Eichel 20-1.
If he gets a hat trick,
Medji gets a couple goals tomorrow and the game winner. Like that is value if you ever talk about value.
Wow.
Aiden Hill 10-1. I don't know if this is a glitch, but
Eichel will have 3 points tonight. Eichel will have 3 points.
I couldn't even imagine what Marchessault's numbers would have been going out of the second round. He didn't have a goal in the first round.
No. He lit up.
What would it have been coming into playoffs?
I mean,
a lot.
30, 40-1.
I think anyone at the start of the first round is going to be pretty high, you know. But I do want to go back mentioning Eichel because we didn't really go over the hit that he took from Matthew Tkachuk in Game 3. Kind of crazy in the sense of we know the surgery that he's had, and right when he got hit, it looked bad. Like it looked like he was real fucked up, like maybe his shoulder and neck. And like as he was skating off, he looked like all mangled, and like he comes right back into the game after leaving. Gets a beautiful assist on that goal in the third period. And
he looked inspired. Hey,
I was happy for him though, in a sense of like that looked like that hit could have really fucked him up, and he was able to bounce back and kind of come back and make an immediate impact. And then he took the puck off the neck in Game 4, so he's been battling through a lot as well. But for a guy with like scary injury history, you're just happy that it hasn't been anything serious.
I'd be blown away just from watching if it's not Eichel. Like I appreciate Marchessault a lot. I love the way he plays. I just think Eichel's done so much. Like
as a center opposed to a wing.
Yeah, so much on both sides of the puck, his own end, through the playoffs. Like just clutch playmaking. Like he passed that one the other day to Marchessault too. Like amazing, beautiful pass to thread the needle through the seam. Like he's just making so much happen. His defensive play has been awesome. He's strong as shit. Like folding Gudis in half and slamming him to the ice. What was that, like Game 2? Or Game 1 maybe even. I was like this guy is doing more than I thought that he was. And a lot of stuff he got criticized for through much of his career thus far. He's been the opposite, and he's been unbelievable. I'd be blown away.
Talk about pressure coming in too, as far as your first ever playoff run. Now, based on expectations, this has to be the most well executed as far as Eichel's concerned. Who else has ever had an impact like that in their first ever playoffs?
Well, we had the Mark Recchi stat, I believe.
31 points.
31 points in his first playoff.
And he didn't win the Conn Smythe that year?
I don't even know.
I would assume Mario.
Mario probably had 80 points.
Mario 20 playoff games, 96 points. Let's give him the Conn Smythe.
Another big boost. I mean, Chandler Stevenson. You even saw in game 4. Just the middle of the ice is where they've been so dominant all playoff long. And I mean, we really haven't seen much offensively from William Karlsson, I would say, over the last 2 rounds, but he hasn't had to be. He's been that more responsible defensive center, and Stevenson's just picked up his offensive game. And I never realized how fast he was. And then you get into the building, and then you see he even adds another fucking element of speed as well when you get to see him live in the flesh.
That bow-legged guy. I mean, the bow-legged guys that can skate so fast and so strong.
When we interviewed him at the All-Star game, like he came into the room, not a huge guy, but jacked.
Yeah.
And you can tell. And then he did the fastest skater, did real well. I mean, this would be his second cup in this building if they're able to get it done tonight. So just an amazing player, a great pickup for them when they did grab him. and just one of those guys that was like in Washington playing a certain role, and the whole time he even told us in the interview believed he could do more, and now he's had the chance. So yeah, it's an incredible team.
And one of 11 Western players on the team, not including Kelly McCrimmon, who's from Manitoba as well. They have Manitoba guys, BC guys, Saski guys, Alberta guys, all through this lineup. Chandler Stevenson from my hometown. Like, unbelievable what he's turned into. He's a fourth liner in Washington when he started, and look at him now. Just an absolute stud.
Going for a second cup in this building, just like
Absolute
you.
stud. Yeah. Just like me. Yeah.
With all those injuries for Florida, I thought Lundell's done a great job of stepping up. I guess my comments were for Florida, they with the one and dones, they don't really have much deception to their offense right now, where they're just trying to do the same thing they've been doing every series, which doesn't seem to be working. And one thing that Vegas does well is they do that pop-out play for the forward, the F3, where they almost go three guys across the blue line sometimes. And with Vegas being so good in the house, you gotta try to do as much as possible to draw guys outside of that to create a little bit more freewheeling open space. And they just haven't been doing that. It just seems to be if they go low to high, they just all clog up the middle of the ice. Where, well, with the fact that they're getting in lanes every time, everything's getting blocked and nothing's getting through. So it's just like the quality of chances Florida's getting with the amount of shots they're getting. It's going to take a miracle and more Plenko bounces like we saw from Montour for them to even have a chance.
Mixer goals.
See, that was the ultimate
mixer.
But, dude, you watch the game, Murr, we were right down in the glass. They have it's like they're second guessing, double clutching, or just waiting that they have that 1 second to thread a puck through, and they're not putting it through. Like, so many times we sat down there, we're like, get it through. No, one more step, gone. Oh, get it through.
Yeah,
one more step. But they're looking for a better shot pass, or they're looking for a thing, and instead of just rifling it through. And a lot of people are saying, hey, get it through. Aiden Hill's not that good. Like, he's just a big guy.
To their defense, though, when you watch from the top angle sometimes, like you would say, oh, yeah, get it through. It's easy. But I'm telling you, man, Vegas is so good positioning where there's just really not that much room to get it through. And the last thing you want to do as a D-man, or if you're the forward popping out, is getting the thing blocked. And like I said, they haven't really given any different looks. They're very predictable in the way that they're trying to do it, where it just seems like Vegas is just like, okay, keep doing what we're doing, tight house, eat pucks, and then we're going to get out of the zone clean.
Game 3, Sam Bennett dances across the blue line, cuts the middle, hits for Heggie, long bomb shot through traffic, just got it through. The game-tying goal in that game, Kachuk in the front of the net. Ekblad just launches it, and they never really shoot from the flanks, which I don't know why. And I do know why. It's because they're deterred because of the way
front.
Well, it's just they're deterred because Vegas is always in the way. They're getting so many shots blocked, so it's like negatively, I think, affecting their approach offensively, where they're not putting pucks in there. They're looking for the next
shoot
thing.
Pucks, and if every time you shoot it's getting blocked, it's like subconsciously you're even like, this isn't getting through. I got to try to make a pass. Boom, picked off, going the other way. So.
And I think that's the business point with their D. And when we sat down there, how fast they close, how they get in lanes, how they're always in the way. And I think that's like been a mental bomb on them in creating those shitty opportunities in around the net. And the mixer, get into the mixer. It's suffocated that ability from their game.
How about Montour having a kid in between?
Buddy,
he did a down and back.
He did a down and back across the country.
Buddy, we called it on him.
Rose has done that four times this series.
He did look a little bit off in the first 2 games. He looked like he was running around too much, more worried about like hitting
or his kid being born.
Well, then you end up finding out, because I don't think that they wanted anybody knowing. So it finally came out media-wise after Game 2 had been played. But, hey, he fucking steps up in both games offensively. That Game 1, it was more of what you need to see from them, where they finally win a battle on the wall, and then they get it to the middle and get one through. So I don't know, boys.
The Game 3
one.
I thought in Game was it Game 3 that he had the goal?
Yeah.
Because it was, that's what so on Game Notes Daily, we got the stat from one of our on the chat. You know, I'm hovering around that chat. Someone came in and is like, hey, Montour hasn't a point in 10 games. I'm like, really? Is that true?
We couldn't believe it.
I'm like, what?
He
What
didn't
the
have
fuck?
a point in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, so we went back and I quickly pulled it up while we were on the show. I looked at it. 0 points in 10 games, plus the kid thing. We were like, he's scoring for sure tonight, for sure. And so, sure enough, boom, he comes out and rips it right over.
So many people had him plus 2,200 on the score bet. Everybody was sending me pictures first.
Yeah.
Love that.
Unreal. That's so good to hear. Love it.
Florida's special team's been a disaster. Hunt.
Awful.
So many bad penalties. Not last game, game 3. 2 bad penalties led to 2 goals. Vegas is 6 for 19 in the power play. Panthers 0 for 13 on the power plays in the final, giving up the 6 goals. They just said they've only led for 19 out of 244 minutes. Now, as far as the power play, is it a personnel thing? Is it a coaching thing? They seem like they're going back to the well over and over again, and nothing's changing. What are you saying with it?
So I think that with your best player being injured, that's an immediate impact in terms of the power play, and Tkachuk getting in front and his usual just like sticking guys and getting in there. It's just so hard for him to do it right now. And I think Vegas's blocking shots is such a deterrent to a power play where not only are you looking for the perfect play like 5-on-5, 5-on-4, it gets even worse. Like you can be ripping away, you get shots blocked, you're like, all right, let's just go tic-tac-toe, and it's impossible against them. So they have guys that can do the job. I don't know injury-wise. I think Bennett hasn't been Bennett. I was
Where
like,
is he?
I'm watching the game. I'm like, oh man, like he was just so dominant, like physically and stuff, and he just, I don't know what he's battling through, but he hasn't been the same. Barkov at times, I think Barkov's been pretty solid in this series actually. But it's just when you run into a great PK and a big goalie, and then you're trying to make the fancy play, it's a recipe for a disaster.
Yeah, and in games 3 and 4, there was some fucking bonehead penalties. They were gonna get on. They were gonna get on the power play because of the carrier one, and then Gudis ends up cross checking them, negating it, and then that's when they ended up taking one when they were 4-on-4, and then Vegas ends up getting a power play. In the first 3 games, 2 power play goals each game for Vegas. Florida, they've been undisciplined all year, and they've found a way to just get away with it, even if they have given up those goals. But the PK is not good enough, especially against a team like Vegas, who's going to be able to take advantage.
X factor, Mer.
And as far as the power play is concerned, very one-dimensional. 90% of the power play is being played by that top unit. So they don't really have trust in that second unit. So not only are they getting the same looks, they're getting them over and over. And you mentioned how much of an aspect and how much of an impact Tkachuk has on it. He was often that low guy on the goal line, and he kept trying to go to that middle slot pass to whether it was Reinhart or maybe Bennett as the flank. And it felt like they were trying that too much, where it seemed at some point where it was like they're allowing Tkachuk to walk in. So maybe just take it to the blue paint and try a stuff play. Because I was even asking Edzo and Jonesy, I'm like, they're not scoring, they're not really changing it up. Like, what would you like them to see do differently? And there's like, look what they're giving him here, and they showed me, and it's in Tkachuk's case, that's where he does most of his damage. Draw all the guys in, and then who knows, maybe there'll be just a shit sandwich puck laying around for those guys to kind of collapse and tap it in.
And not only the garbage goal, but I've had many coaches tell me that you do that once, he does one jam, everything opens up.
And then it opens up, right? Yeah. So at least try that. It's just been so one-dimensional, all aspects of their offense, where for Vegas, this is just a fucking snooze fest.
It makes them look robotic a little bit, too. And we've said this watching them, like Florida, the way they operate. It's just they have looks like they have like a meeting on something that might work, and that's all they're looking for. And so it's like it's handcuffing them in fluidly playing or being like automatic skilled guys that can just do their thing. So that's what I've noticed too. But we said this coming into the series, one of the X factors we said is going to be the power play or special team situation positively towards Vegas.
Well, let's not forget too that their PK is horrible because you got the 6 goals in the first 3 games against them in this series. I believe that the Bruins broke a record for the most power play goals in one series in the first round against Florida.
I think they have like a record for
if only we had a Bruins fan on the podcast still. Too bad he switched to Florida.
Didn't the Bruins have like a ridiculous amount of power play goals in that series? So it's like, I think that the penalty kill for Florida it's not shocking that it sucks because it sucked the whole time. So it's one of those things where like basically the mojo, the injuries, it kind of all ran out. And the series isn't over yet, but in my mind it is.
I never thought that Luosterainen, losing him was going to be such a big
Has that
impact.
come out what it was? It must be something serious for not to be going.
Yeah, that was
so
such a
big.
They didn't have the depth to be able to lose him in this series. And in the fourth, like, and I hate to single guys out. I just feel like Lamborghini.
Lamborghini was not the X factor you thought. Yeah,
Cousins.
He's taking the worst penalties.
Cousins is quiet.
Whitey, just
Bennett.
nothing from that bottom six whatsoever. And if anything, Vegas has been able to sick their fourth line on Florida's top lines, and I think they've walked away with it with a plus goal differential. At
Size is a factor. I mean, like those guys are effective physically, usually, but they're playing against. I mean, they're coming in against a weapon. Like these guys are huge.
It's kind of unusual too. Both teams are 0-for-1 on the power play in Game 4, but the penalty minutes are 28-4 because of all the shit at the end. Kachuk got 14 at the end, and Montour got 12 with all that skirmish going on. But they do got their work cut out for them, Biz. This will be the fourth time that Florida's looking to stave off elimination tonight. Only team to come back down 3-1 in the Stanley Cup Final, like we said before, the 42 Leafs. They were actually down 3-0. Vegas hasn't had a 3-game losing streak since way back in January. And the last team to come back down 3-1 twice in a playoff was Minnesota back in 2003 when Andrew Burnett put a bow on Patrick Roy's career way back in the day. So they got their work cut out for them tonight.
Yeah,
man.
and before we move on from this series, I think it was very mature of me to mention the Oilers last week, and I think I have to again because my main man Bob Stauffer, he actually reached out to me. He said, "Ryan, great job pumping up the Oilers," and he sent me a couple things. Let's at least get him out there, right? I'm gonna read you the text. Great job sticking up with the Oilers, Ryan. That's what we do. It was a 2-2 series with Vegas. Both of Edmonton's wins were convincing. 5-1, 4-1. Pretty legit. It was 2-2. We won 2 games, 9-2 combined. Edmonton outshoots Vegas 75-53 in games 5 and 6. Vegas gets 7 power plays in game 5 and wins 4-3. Like, God, they got 7 PPs that game. We barely lost that game. Oilers outshoot Golden Knights 40-22 in game 6 when we're trying to force that game 7. Aiden Hill steals the game with 38 saves. Full marks to the Golden Knights. They're an amazing team. But I must mention, speaking of luck, the Golden Knights are on a record-setting PDO heater with an exclamation point. In my mind, I said, what's PDO? Well, he explains.
Possession.
PDO is a combined 5-on-5 shot percentage, offensively and save percentage. So Vegas is scoring at a ridiculous amount on their 5-on-5 shooting, and they're getting saves at a ridiculous amount. So like we said, luck has a lot to do with it. I'm not saying they're winning the Stanley Cup because of luck. I'm just saying the Edmonton Oilers are right there.
And I want to say through Game 4, they've outscored opponents in the second period 30-10 throughout these playoffs.
And that's the long change period.
That's the long change period as well. So they have what? Do you know what their shooting percentage is? 5-on-5?
No, he didn't say. He just wrote the best ever since the start of the analytics era in 2008.
Wow, what a run!
Before we move on from the series, let me give you 2 nuggets for you Florida Panthers fans and Florida Panthers bettors out there.
Okay.
Number 1, I picked Vegas to win in 5. I did a Barstool boost up to 575 on it.
You did.
You seen me at the tables earlier.
We're cold.
I am cold.
We're cold.
So that's one thing in your favor, RA. The second one, little nugget for you. Florida Panthers changed hotels this trip. Games 1 and 2, they were out west at a different hotel at the practice rink. They moved back down to the strip.
The strip?
They moved back to the strip. They're practicing at T-Mobile. I saw Forsling today. We were walking around on the strip. I'm like, happy birthday. Guy was shocked. I knew it was his birthday. Swedish guy. They've changed their mojo, so they're not done yet.
Wow.
So because of COVID and the fact that they haven't traveled here every year, I want to say Florida, since Vegas' existence, they've played here 7 times. They've never won a game. That's
correct.
That's correct.
To win
That's correct.
Okay, that takes away my nuggets.
Yes, they've yet to win a game here. So changing it up. Maybe they should just get after it.
Here we go.
Fuck it, right?
I'll go out with them tonight.
Watch out for the pro. If they're on the strip, watch out for those pros at the hotel bars.
Imagine they called RA in as their spiritual healer. To
They
bring
win
all
the
these-
next 3 games, 10-0 each game. They're all doing shrooms before the game.
All right, before we go any further, I got to talk to you about Muggsy Jeans. Absolute weapon these guys are. They're coming out with things all the time, guys. They're coming out with insane stuff like golf apparel. You can get anything.
They made RA look great.
They made RA great. I mean, how do you make RA look great? Put them in Muggsy Jeans.
Boom, dunzo.
Unbelievable. Muggsy makes the most comfortable jeans, chinos, joggers ever. There's no question about it. I love it. Made from buttery soft patent stretch materials that look stylish but are insanely comfortable. Never too baggy, but guess what? Never too tight, so you always look good. You always look good, but you're comfortable. The guys at Mugsy's have one mission in life. Give every guy the confidence to walk blindly into their closet, reach out, and know whatever they pick will have them looking good and feeling even better. You'll feel good even if you got that big ass, even if you got those big legs. It doesn't matter. You slam in a pair of Mugsy's, it's just like comfort. You could sleep in those puppies. You will literally never have to shop anywhere else again. Mugsy's also just dropped Cool Max denim that are like air conditioners for your legs. That's insane. Talk about sleeping in your Mugsy's. You sleeping under the bed. The blankets are heavy. It's hot. Wear the Cool Max. You're comfortable. You're good. Soft, buttery, and unbelievable. They spent years in the lab developing the most breathable jeans ever. Designed and lightweight fibers to ensure a cool breeze every single step. These jeans come in enough colors to make a pack of crayons jealous. All the crayons are like, oh, do you see those Mugsy's? Oh. These are the only jeans you'll wear. Trust me, all summer long. All you'll wear. Go from the backyard barbecue to the bar in one swift motion all summer long. If you're in Chicago or Austin, Texas, make sure to head downtown and check out their storefront as well. Easy vibes every time. Enjoy a beer while you shop. Where do you get to do that? At Mugsy. If you're in Boston or DC, keep an eye out for Mugsy stores coming in June. Those will be coming there soon. Head to Mugsy.com and get 10% off now using code Chiclets. That's 10%. Some of the most premium jeans, chinos, swimwear, and shorts on the internet. What a spot. Mugsy. Check them out.
I'm rooting for my 40-1 on Eden Hill, Merles. I put that in back on the first round.
All right.
So, yeah.
Considering you have thousands and thousands and thousands if the Panthers win the Cup, do you not make a huge bet on Vegas Game 5 to try to somewhat hedge it?
Well, I have them in a pool at the club at home. I did put some money on Vegas during the Dallas series when they were plus 230. So right now, I stand to make about 20% of what I'd make a Florida one. I would never
money either way.
I would never hedge it 50-50 just because we're gamblers. We like to be right about our wins in addition to winning. I might have went maybe a little bit higher, but right now, if Vegas wins, I'll win 20% of what I would have on Florida. And I also, like I just said, I got Eden Hill 40-1. That's a pretty good ticket.
If I was
too,
a random bettor and I wanted to win a shit ton of money and I had dough, I would throw $500,000 on the Vegas Golden
That's what I want to do. But minus 175 is a lot of fuck. Like, you want to bet $50,000. You want to win $50,000. You get to bet what, 80? What would that be? Minus 175 on 50. That's a big.
Wayne Newton's going to be sending hookers over to the referee's room tonight. Like, there is not a chance that Vegas is not hoisting the cup out.
I think you're right. I think,
well, I'll
and
tell
they don't
you
want
what
to
you
fly
should
back
do.
there either.
Do three-way, Vegas three-way at Barstool's plus 100. And if it does go to overtime and they lift the cup in overtime, you're like, whatever. I still have overtime cup winner.
Yeah.
Go Vegas.
Can't go on vacation.
Hey, what's the Vegas
my picks
first?
are Game Notes Daily at 12 Eastern.
Okay, Vegas first period. We'll get into that. Yeah, Game Notes Daily. Busy before we even go anywhere else. I saw you once at the rink. I saw you at the rink. You came by. You were
Fort Lauderdale?
in Fort Lauderdale at the game, at Game 4. You were mixing it up. What was your trip like? Because I missed out because I went for a romantic dinner with Gary Lawless, but I heard you came to
Taco Bell.
I went to Taco Bell.
I went to the elbow room.
I heard you
for
came
about
with
an
Charles
hour.
Barkley and you came to mix it
why don't you
up.
tell the story about the table?
Yeah,
PK
so
was
we're
there.
We're mixing it up. A lot of hockey people there, just having a good time. Elbow Room, one of my favorite bars in the world, hands down. And I see this waitress. She takes the best table and she starts putting signs on it like, this table is reserved. And I'm like, who are you reserving a table for at the elbow
there,
room?
yeah.
Well, it's in the
Elbow room.
corner.
Like,
It's under
not
the
a
stairs.
nightclub.
Outdoor
Like, what are you
beach
talking about? She goes,
bar.
Charles Barkley's coming here. I'm like, you're out of your mind. So I go back to our table with all like the Vegas equipment guys and media guys, and I'm like, this girl thinks Charles Barkley's coming to the elbow room. Like, what a fool.
Biz drags
1
him in
hour
there.
later,
Biz
Biz
pulls
is
in.
walking in. Who's
What'd you think of
behind
that
him?
site,
Sir
Busy?
Charles. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, we went for dinner at the W. There was a steak place there. It was awesome. And I said, hey, this is where everybody, all the media members muck it up. Why don't we stop by? And he went there. It was good seeing everybody.
What a man of the people, too. Just yucking it
he's
up
the
with
best.
He's the
everyone.
best. I love that guy. Shout out to Chuck.
Oh, he's the
Amazing
nicest
dude.
man on the planet. But I will say, when you're sober and you stroll into the elbow room, like you
that's hell on earth.
You are on different planets.
People are zoned. It's 400 RAs
My
in
octopus
You're just
teacher.
like,
It's just
oh my
complete
God.
squids in there. Just everyone just move. People move like Jello in there.
We
That's
drove
how
by it the next day on the way to our appearance at the Tin Roof, and I was like, I saw it during the day.
Dude, that's where
And I was like, oh my God, I went there? Like,
Best $4 beer in the world.
Cover charges, you have to get a penicillin shot. That's how greasy the elbow room is. But my kind of place. So it was good to pop by. Like PK was there.
The owner was with
hockey
PK.
Guys. Oh, was that who it was?
That was the owner of the Elbow Room.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
there you go.
Good dude. Yeah, really good dude.
Kill it.
So overall, a great trip. But I do not think that we're heading back. There's just no chance.
I'm officially not heading back.
Okay, well,
I'm
good.
going home either way.
But before we move on, Tuesday we will be at Beer House 1 to 3 p.m. for a big Pink Whitney meet and greet for Game 5. We're very excited for that
Yeah,
as well.
if you're in Vegas, come on over today. 1 to 3. We'll be there.
I got another big announcement coming in a second. A couple of tidbits for you, Biz. Vegas looking to become the 12th team in NHL history to win their first ever potential cup clinching game and just the 4th to do so in their home building. Tampa, Jersey, Edmonton all did it at home. And how about this one? Pietrangelo and Martinez have both scored cup clinching goals. If Petro wins the cup, he becomes just the second player ever to score a cup clinching goal against the head coach and later win a championship with that same coach, Bruce Cassidy, because he beat him in 19, and then
That's
he might
a
win it
fun
with him.
nugget.
Yeah, Cy Denny did it versus Art Ross in 1927.
So
and then
First Art Ross.
and then with him in
That's a
29.
real guy?
Legit.
Yeah, he
Almost
was
100 years
alive
ago.
at one point.
So Petro scored the cup clinching goal against Boston.
Yeah, I think because Boston got that late goal, Grizzy goal, so that made it, sort of the by default, I guess, the cup winner. But he's the cup winner.
And then
so
Martinez ended up getting it for LA against Henrik Lundqvist because we had to ask him on the broadcast about it. Where are you at mentally being down in a series? And then we obviously asked Wayne, what's it like knowing you're pretty much going to wrap this thing up?
That's Tyler Toffoli got the assist on that one.
Oh,
Is there anyone on the TNT panel that's like, yeah, Florida's going to win next game?
I don't.
I hate
know.
to ask you that, maybe, but
usually we find out day of what everybody's feeling when
yeah.
we're in the green room. But as far as that trip to Florida was concerned, it was great. It was great all staying on that strip there.
Oh yeah,
You're
right at the beach there.
right across from the beach. And I didn't go too hard. I just was taking it all in and trying to stay energy for these broadcasts.
I also think we
Are you
felt
still sober?
I'm still sober. 4.5
good job,
months.
dude.
I think the last time I drank was when I was
Before Brindamore.
when I was before about an hour leading up to the Rob Brindamore to try to recalibrate
The
my.
last time you drank was 4.5 months ago, but you drank 29 hours in a row, so I think you're due for a couple months off.
and I will say this too.
Usually when Rob Brindamore looks at you the way he looked at me, like questioning
He's like, "What
whether I
the
was
fuck?"
okay, I'm like, yeah, I probably need to take a little bit of a break here. But hey, once that cup's handed out Game 5, I'm going to be hitting pedal
I
to the
can't wait
metal.
to say this.
Oh, wait till
I got 11 a.m. flight.
wait
I'm
till
going to be holding you up by your arm like RA the other night.
Well, then how about this? Maybe I save it for Nashville in the draft.
No. If they win
No.
the cup tomorrow night and we're
No,
all
fuck
going
no, we're in
Okay.
Vegas,
Yeah,
baby.
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say this, though. We did get a feel for what it's like in a market, Arizona, a few others, that when their rink is out like that, because we were down in Fort Lauderdale and everyone's ripping up. We went
tough.
tin roof, and then you got to recalibrate.
It's a buzz
go
cut.
to get to the game. And then once you're getting out there, I think you really get a feel for why it kills fans.
You need road pops.
Yeah.
Well, it just kills for a fan that goes, should we go to the game? Like, picture game 62, and you're like, should we go to the game tonight? They're playing. And you're like down on the beach or you're there.
Yeah,
You're like,
Now I actually sympathize for RA, and I'm okay with him doing shrooms on the way over. You gotta stay busy somehow on the party bus.
A shroom. Good stuff. All right, before we go any further, here's a word from our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, and they are sending us to Game 5 in Vegas tonight. We cannot wait. Game Time was created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals to tickets for sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. Like I just said, we're going to Game 5 tonight. I got some concerts lined up this summer, Red Sox, wherever you go, wherever you are, use Game Time. It's possible with the Game Time app because it's the biggest last-minute price drop you can find on the seats you thought you could never buy. The purchase process takes just 2 taps and 10 seconds, and once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text so you can get into the game seamlessly. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. One more time. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, redeem code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. All right, like I said, we have a big announcement coming up. We're going to go to Mr. Grinelli for this one. Your baby. Fire away.
Yes. So we have searched long and hard for the next Chiclets Cup venue, next Chiclets Cup city. We've looked at venues all over North America, and it's led us to one destination and one destination only.
Double dipping?
A destination we believe is the best in North America. We're going back to Riverworks in Buffalo, boys.
I love this.
Back to Buffalo.
Cheerios,
After that
baby.
tease, we're going to where we just were.
Going back to Buffalo.
Listen, there's some fun cities out there, but because of logistics and the way it all worked out, we're going back there. But let me tell you, I'm 45 minutes from Buffalo in Welland, Ontario, where I was born. I get to see my folks. I get to see a lot of my friends and family when I'm there. And on top of that, that was the heaviest I've drank in a long time, and the bars there are open till 4 o'clock.
Sweet.
The entire city was hospitable. I can't wait, and it's going to be on Canadian Thanksgiving,
October 6th
It's a
and
border
7th.
town, so anybody who was unable to make it the first time can come around the second time. Guaranteed, it's going to sell out.
But there's also one more announcement, Biz, I think you have to make regarding your future as a Chiclets Cup player.
It's going to be my last Chiclets Cup.
Wow. No way.
Yeah. It's gonna be my last.
Noseface is gonna beat you in the fall.
No,
and just
I'm gonna
laugh in your
I'm
face.
gonna celebrate this little
sad.
run of sobriety. I'm gonna have some fun after the season, but then I'm gonna buckle it up in August. I'm gonna be with my trainer, and I'm gonna be taking home my first ever Chiclets Cup. I hope Noseface is there. I hope I meet that fucker in the finals. We have a few former NHL players that we're actually picking up for our team to bolster the Big Deal Selects lineup. Terry Ryan and crew will be there. Terry Ryan Sr. will be coaching, of course. There's no way that I'm not going back to those guys. I'm loyal like a dog, but we will have some ads.
Who gets cut? Who are you cutting from your team?
We're gonna have
Should cut himself.
no. We're gonna have a few e-bugs. Hey, maybe there is a game where I end up getting healthy scratch. I'm a team player. It's all about the Big Deal Selects.
Is
it's
it a
not about
goalie?
me individually. No, we're bringing the same goalie. We're gonna have a few NHL players.
Okay.
I'm not gonna divulge who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Ryan has reached out. It looks as if though we're gonna have a former Stanley Cup champion added to our
Ross.
squad. Not Art Ross. We're going to have a fucking team. I'm looking forward to Chiclets Cup in Buffalo. It's going to be a shit show. And all you Canadians, I hope to see you there as well.
October 6th and 7th. Be there.
And I hope I want to play
team
roller
signing a
hockey.
guy.
I know we have a big announcement for the roller team, too. Rumor is we're signing Colby Armstrong.
I love roller.
He's on the roller team. He
Christ.
signed.
Hey, anyone listening out there? I need a new pair of wheels. So send me over some blades. Gee, you got to line that up. I need.
I got
It's
you.
going to lead to a
I got you.
lawsuit when he puts his shoulder through somebody's
Oh,
face.
I'm gonna
and all of
fuck
a sudden-
someone up.
We
Don't
are not
come
a
near
very
me.
good team, but I guarantee you we have the most fun. We drink the most Pink Whitney.
And
If I pick up speed-
Feidelberg's always there, and he just gets
Oh,
wrecked.
yeah, he's a
smoke
beauty.
cigarettes.
Smoke
during the
cigarettes
game.
on the bench and shit.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Biz, if you do need players, let me know. I got a couple of those London recruits from when me and G were just up London. Those guys are legit studs.
I haven't seen him with my own
Okay.
eyes, and
All right.
we're keeping a pretty tight group.
All right, buddy.
We're gonna keep this from within, but I appreciate. Why don't you sub your own team in a higher division, and maybe you could start your coaching career?
Ooh, I'll have to think about that.
You did get fired from
So
our
hold on.
roller team last year.
Yeah, I did. But there's some other coaching stuff going on today. I'm not sure if you caught it. Call my barber and cancel the skullet, I'd say. Elliot Friedman tweeted today, there was word this afternoon the New York Rangers and Peter Laviolette are gaining momentum. Nothing is done until it's done, but barring a swerve, looking like Laviolette as the next Rangers head coach. That's from Elliot Friedman on a dummy account. So,
Fuck.
I mean, when is he
All
wrong?
right, a round of applause. He was ahead. of us.
Insider,
I wanted
insider.
the skullet. I wanted the
Insider.
skullet.
I wanted you to
should
be
get
so
credit
wrong.
for this, already. You legit broke it.
Did Elliot Friedman tweet your name? Did he put your handle in
Yeah,
there?
that's bullshit.
No,
He'd
he
be
didn't.
rattled
I mean,
if you did it.
He didn't. I mean, this isn't officially breaking. I'd say he's more or less like leading up to it. But I know. I guess we'll see when people are putting it out there. But
Okay, so when he
Elliot
gets
should put your
hired,
name
people
on
should be
there.
writing that you broke it.
Absolutely. And
Oh,
it wasn't like a
100%.
shot in the dark. I mean, someone reached out, a good source. I think when other guys became available, the Rangers just took their time, did some other interviews. But I never doubted for a second it was going to be Laviolette. I knew he
How
had
many
4 or 5
insiders
interviews.
get shrooms from strangers and break stories of new head coaches? You're multi-dimensional, all right.
One of a kind, baby. Calgary
Then
promoted.
hold on
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Then,
sorry.
then if,
Yeah,
if Laviolette becomes the Rangers,
Rangers.
I am officially out as the Chiclets
Yeah, you
Rangers
hate
guy.
Laviolette.
Wow.
I am out as the
Wow.
Rangers guy if Laviolette's the head coach.
So Laviolette
that's
would have
big.
coached.
Yeah.
He would have coached the Rangers,
The Flyers,
the Flyers,
Caps.
the Islanders, the Caps in that division, and He didn't coach Carolina,
Yeah.
did he?
Yeah.
Coached him to
So
a
he'd have
cup.
5 of those teams.
Won the cup.
You don't know.
Cut Murr.
He's killing the Metro.
5 teams in the Metro.
He's dominating the Metro.
Yeah, he took Philly in to the Cup as well as Nashville a few years ago, too. So that's why all these retreads. Like, dude, these guys have been coaching for 25, 30 years for a reason. They're fucking good. I mean, Paul Maurice, this is what his how many trips to a Cup he's been? Second with? I know he hasn't won one yet, but, I mean, he's there right now. You're talking about
who?
Paul Maurice.
Paul
This is
Maurice.
his second trip to a Cup, right?
Yeah,
He lost
yeah.
in
He
02.
went. He went with Carolina, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, Laviolette's been to 3 of
Like
them, won
04?
one. It's like, yeah,
When
these
was that?
guys have
No,
been
no.
Do
there.
you think
Oh.
Gallant gets another job someday?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because he
man.
goes places and
Yeah.
they're good, and then he gets fired pretty
Yeah.
soon.
Oh,
like,
So it's like, all right, if we bring him in, I think our team will be good. But like, will we want to get rid of him? It's kind of an odd scenario. His whole coaching
my whole
career.
theory on him is he's a fixer. When things are very tight and people are unhappy, he's a Bruce Boudreau. He goes in there, he gives guys confidence. Just play your game. Just play hockey. Just play hockey. Not very systems oriented. So very similar from a Bruce Boudreau, where it's a good Band-Aid. I don't necessarily know if it's a long-term play.
Yeah, we'll see.
And that's no disrespect to Bruce. I think he's an excellent coach. It's just, at a certain point, there's, there needs to be turnover.
Absolutely. And also, Calgary promoted assistant coach Ryan Huska to the head coach now. Do any guys? Yeah, any of you guys know?
I was talking to Merles about this morning, and it's just kind of crazy. So he was the assistant, correct? So
Yes.
they brought him up. They made him the head coach. Craig Conroy makes that decision, but Mitch Love, 2 years in a row, head coach of the year in the AHL with Calgary's farm team. So it's just.
That's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
you got this
bizarre.
guy with the prospects, but I don't know Huska at all, so it's like not
I think
fair.
Huska before that was in the minors too and did a really good job before going.
So I guess that would be
American
the same
Going
thing.
to
Like
the
if you get to the
assistant.
show and you're an assistant,
Yeah.
and Craig Conroy's been around Calgary and he really likes him. It's kind of hard if you're
How
if
long
you're
has
any.
Huska been around?
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. That's why I don't mean to say like, oh, they should have given it to Mitch Love. It's just I think it's hard to be 2-time AHL Coach of the Year and then your parent club has an opening and you don't get it.
My only rebuttal to that would be maybe because he hasn't been coaching pro that long, because he was in with
he
the
hasn't coached too
Saskatoon
long.
Blades
Yeah,
3-4
good call.
years ago.
Yep.
So maybe they want him to season a little bit more. But I agree with you, Whit. I would view that as a slap in the face if I've done that good of a job back-to-back years at the AHL level.
With your own, not even a random AHL team, your farm team.
But saying that, there's probably another team that's going to scoop him up at some point here. I mean,
Yeah.
how many coaches get fired on average over the last 5 years?
Seems like 5 a year,
Five,
right?
usually
By the end of the season, I bet you we're averaging five
Yeah,
to six
at least.
coaches a year. But I don't want to discredit Ryan Huska. I just don't know anything about him. But to be an assistant coach and get your chance, good for him. Congratulations.
He was the head coach for the AHL team for 4 years. Then he was an assistant for the last 5. So,
All right, so it's fair enough that he's paid his dues, and I bet you if you ask Craig Conroy and you got a real answer, it's probably a pretty tough decision. And those two guys, while probably being friendly in terms of at camp, you're together and Love and Huska, it was probably a little bit of like, oh my God, one of us is going to get this, and
a little more seniority.
little bit more seniority, exactly.
All right. Well, I thought Pasha was coming out here with us, Gino. No dice on Pasha. Is he here?
He's right there.
I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, he's right behind you.
We got to bring him over. Pasha, your Devils made some news this week. With a little sign and trade. They signed and then traded Damon Severson. He'll be 29 when next season starts. After inking their second-round pick in 2012 to an 8-year, $50 million extension, the Devils sent them to Columbus for a third-round pick in the upcoming draft. They got pick number 80 back. I mean, this is basically a no-brainer. They're getting something for nothing rather than letting
Now
them go.
he's going to trash him. Watch, here we go. This is how these Devil fans work.
You're right already. Yeah, it was basically, I mean, he was a goner. The Devils couldn't and wouldn't pay him what he wanted. I heard that Fitzy tried to offer him a shorter-term deal, but I don't blame his camp for not taking a shorter-term deal.
Let me ask you, without Nemec coming, the second overall pick, who's going to be a stud, is it a harder decision maybe? But
No,
knowing he's coming, he's a righty.
I
Well, you
think
got
it's
Hughes there already too, and
I think it's a black and white decision. They're not giving him what Columbus paid him. They're
Yeah.
not giving him close to that. I could see their decor taking a little step back with his loss because Nemec is obviously going to need some seasoning. But ultimately, like you said, all right, he was going to walk. So to get a third for him is just, it's just gravy on top.
they just saved it.
So
They
tiny
saved
business by
something,
Fitzy.
No, I think Severson's a solid player, but giving a guy like that 8 years, it's like it just shows that timing's everything, and not in hockey, in life. It's all about timing, and he becomes a UFA when the market's weak Like I wouldn't have thought he'd get an 8-year deal. No.
Yeah, and
8 years, dude.
I think Columbus is looking. Let's just like stack up on the back end because
Yeah.
Columbus is looking pretty
You got
good.
Provorov
No,
and
they're not. No,
Severson.
they're not.
Yeah.
Columbus sucks.
No, I
Well,
understand.
right
Columbus
now-
will listen.
Columbus with Babcock will be
Right
a lot
now-
better this year.
It's very difficult for them to get free agents, so they have to have the mentality as they got to get it done collectively as a group. They have to take that Seattle approach, and I think with bolstering their back end and starting with an ace like Werenski and then adding these other types of guys, it alleviates pressure. And if you have a good, speaking from experience, when we were with the Coyotes that year and we had like just good solid D in a very average forward group who was able to add timely scoring, we ended up going to the Eastern Conference Western Conference Finals. So I think that for Columbus, like this is a good move where you overpay a guy like that a little bit, but at least you're bolstering up a very needed position for them where you're not going to be able to get guys. No?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And one thing I'll say about Severson is it's definitely tough to see him go. He was the longest tenured Devil. He was there through all the the hard years. So it sucks to as the team's kind of turning the corner, see him go. I would say the thing
He's
that
gonna
the
cry
fans
with his 20s and wipe off his tears.
The thing with the fans, they were so hard on Severson. I would
Really?
say, oh yeah, so hard on him. He was a punching bag, undeservingly so. I would say he was very solid, but then he was prone to the big boneheaded mistake that everyone would just focus on that and forget the 10 solid plays he made before that. So I agree with. I think he's a solid guy. He's not. I wouldn't say he's a top pairing guy, but he's a solid second pairing guy.
Like in my mind, when I think of Damon Severson and watching him play at UFA, he's getting 6 years for $32 million. Like that's kind of, but like I said, timing, and when there's not many other options, he's gonna absolutely hammer away a $50 million deal. So great for him. I love seeing that. It was just Columbus being desperate for D, and him having a pretty solid run in Jersey to be able to get the payday. Who is now the longest tenured Devil? Would it be Heischer?
I would say probably Heischer, yeah.
Well, Miles Wood? No, I see.
Miles Wood been there a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Miles Wood. You got me stumped on that one. I do not know that
What a
Devil's fact.
diehard.
Good call, Ray. Miles
he'll-
Wood. I think you're right.
He'll be just shy of 37 when that deal expires.
He's
too.
also a goner.
We saw Fitzy at the game the other day, didn't we, Pasha? We passed through.
Yeah, he
we sat-
texted me. He goes, "Who's this guy I met last night?" I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I don't know. He's from Vancouver." I was like, "Oh, that's Pasha. He's a diehard
Yeah.
Devils fan."
Yeah, yeah.
And we got Fitzy coming on for an interview in a couple weeks.
Oh,
He
there you
promised us. We went to a game around November. I said, if you get out of the first round,
That's
if you
when
win-
RA ate him out a shrimp cocktail. The entire building.
yes. Hey, the ocean called. They ran out of shrimp.
Yeah.
But he promised us if they win a round in the playoffs, he'd come on. I texted him, so we're going to get him actually next week.
Yeah, it was good
He
seeing
ate,
him.
he ate all
Pasha.
our shrimp and 3 plastic lobsters.
I'm a free agent now in the Metro. Would you take me?
To play on the Devils?
No,
Oh, to
just
be-
to root for you.
What
I'm
about
done with the
Oh, I
Rangers.
see what you're saying. No, absolutely not.
Whoa.
Done with the
You are-
Rangers.
you are
I'm
not
done with the
welcome.
Rangers. I'm a free
You are
agent.
He quit on the Penguins years
You're
ago.
done
You
with the
are not
Penguins?
welcome.
You hate the
Yeah.
Penguins?
Penguins
No.
got rid of me when I hurt my shoulder. I got
no.
fucked, sent to the
Gross.
minors.
We want nothing to do with you. You are not welcome on
Okay,
the Devil's
guys.
wagon.
Wow.
That's okay.
Hey,
I just,
Murr.
take them off my list.
Murr, come on over, baby.
No.
No, Murr's
No,
gonna be
not
with
with Dubas.
Murr's
There
going
you
with
go.
the Flyers.
No, Dubas
Come
is a
on.
traitor.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's gonna fire your ass.
Unless,
you
he
got,
wants,
Murr?
Fire me.
unless he wants to give us co-GM jobs there, then I'll be on the Penguins.
That wasn't the only D that Yamo added. He traded for Ivan Provorov as well in a 3-team deal between Columbus, Philly, and LA. The Black Blue Jackets get Provorov with LA retaining 30% of that deal, so about $2 million. Philly made out good in this one. They got Cal Peterson, defenseman Sean Walker, Swedish prospect Helge Grans, a second-round pick back in 20, a second in 24, and the number 22 pick in this draft. It's LA's pick in a conditional second-rounder in either 24 or 25. LA gets Kevin Cotton and Hayden Hodgson, basically some organizational depth. But basically, LA's paying like $2 million just to get rid of Cal Peterson. That seems what more or less is happening now, right? I mean,
Well, I heard
Yeah.
they're doing that to relieve cap space
try
because
to get
they are
Gabbert
going
caught.
after Tommy Boy Wilson.
I saw that.
Hey, all you need to do is watch this year's playoffs, and all of a sudden, these
How
types of
valuable
play.
is a guy
Oh
like
my
that?
God, they're
yeah.
GMs
Thank you, Florida. Thank you, Vegas. Thank you for doing this for hockey.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Thank
I'll
you.
say Provorov. I mean, obviously, this year was a gong show. I mean, not just the off-ice stuff. I'm talking Philly as a whole. But not that long ago, Provorov was like a legit number 1 NHL defenseman. And so I think that's a good deal. Like, I know you're saying Philly made out big with it, but I don't know. Like, draft picks, it's so risky, and The first rounder's what? It's the 22nd pick.
Yeah, this
So
year,
it's
yeah.
like I actually like the deal for Columbus in terms of having to get better quick and how good that guy is at times. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you got to draft well to make that thing work. But the second rounders, I mean, what are the odds they become legit NHLers? It's not great. You weren't a legit NHLer.
No. Why you guys shoot me down, man? You see how cold I am at the table?
How would you
I am
say?
too.
I mean, that was pretty much Danny Brière's first big deal, correct?
Yeah.
Like, as GM, what would you grade him on it, Biz?
Yeah, they got it. I mean, yeah, you got to get worse before you get better. And the fact that you give Cal Peterson a second opportunity and you get assets back in return, like I don't think this kid's done by any means, but I agree with the move for LA. You know, they got to get good now. They have a small window, so overall pretty good. I'm sure it feels good to get your feet wet as far as a general manager and making trades, right?
But it's got to be nerve-wracking too, because you don't know if it works for a couple of years, which might actually help in a sense.
I don't think you could possibly look back on this and be like, oh my God, we gave up Provorov for this, because I feel like the team's not going to be good anywhere where, if Columbus gets 3, 4, 5 more good years at a Provorov, it just wasn't the time and place for him. And you just mentioned like all the stuff with off the ice. It just seemed like it was a good time to part ways with the situation.
And now we're hearing too Carter Hart. We're hearing Scott Lawton. We're hearing other names out of Philly. And I think G put out a tweet that was like, oh my God, they finally did this. They should have done this, like 4 months ago.
They could be in the Bedard sweepstakes right now if they did this at the trade deadline, like I said
earlier. Yeah. So here they are now, and there's some.
Well, I think there's a reason they have a new regime.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
He's not using the trade machine.
That's a great app, by the way.
Before we go any further, you know what we're here to talk about, and that's Chevy. Chevy trucks, boys. The Chevy EV family. We've been a part of this for a long time, and now our news is enormous. The first ever all-electric Silverado is officially Barstool's most valuable truck. People like driving trucks. They're big, they're strong, they're muscular, and now Chevy's got the EV Silverado. We got the chance to see this thing and experience it, drive it around, see how powerful it was, while also knowing you can just give it a charge. It's a complete game changer. It's available 400-mile range, GM estimated on a full charge. That's a long way to go before you need to plug that thing in again. Over 10 feet of length in the bed with the multi-flex tailgate combined with the multi-flex midgate. Whenever you're getting into multi-flex, you want your truck to have that. A large 17-inch diagonal display screen if you want to use your navigation, if you want to get your music. 17 inches is enormous, and it's beautifully HD. It can tow up to 10,000 pounds of max towing, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds with the WOW mode. That is a quick pickup right there, and up to an impressive 785 foot-pounds of torque. This thing's a beast, and it's all electric, and it's all Chevy. Head on over to Chevy.com to learn more.
LA also extended trade deadline pickup Vladislav Gavrikov with the 2-year, $11.75 million deal. Comes out to $580 a year. He would have been UFA on July 1st. Is this where you expected him to probably come in?
So this is a little bit of a crazy story, and in the whole sense of Gavrikov's a free agent. He could have got a 5, 6. I actually don't know what LA would have given him in terms of term, but he could have got a lot longer. And he openly himself said, I want 2 years, because in 2 years the cap's going to be a lot more, and I'm going to hit this thing again.
Wow, he said that?
And his agent told him. His agent said to him, no, like, what are you doing? You're crazy. Like, lock up a long-term deal. He said, no. He goes, I want a 2-year deal, and I want to crush it when the cap goes up.
Gavrikov,
and I kind of respect it.
I respect the shit out of that.
It's ballsy. It's ballsy, but it's a guy who believes in himself. And if he ends up getting this deal for $5.8 a year for 2 years, and then in 2 years the cap goes up and gets a 5 or 6 year deal for whatever, 5 to 6, he's going to make more than he would have, right? And it's good, but there's a lot to be said on what can happen in 2 years. But that's what went down. This kid said no. He goes, I want 2 years. That's when the cap's going up. Give me a 2-year deal. That's all I'm taking.
Yeah, guys who are forward thinking like that, and maybe he's also looking at the free agent pool of defensemen and what's available as to why. Like, look at what Severson just got, right? So,
but that would make him in my mind, that would want him to take a longer one, because in 2 years, who knows who's up.
Well, that he might have looked into that. That's what I'm saying. Seeing like, oh, these are the guys that I'm going to be competing with. Where I think he's good enough to be a solid top 4. I want to say analytically, Mike Kelly was talking about him because he's the ones the Leafs picked up at the deadline, right?
No,
we're talking about Gavrikov.
Yeah, he went to L.A. and then he just re-signed with L.A.
Oh, okay.
Your other favorite team.
So sorry. I was thinking of not Gabranson. I was thinking of another G name, but he was one of the better defensemen in the league league at breaking up plays and holding gaps inside the neutral zone. So I don't know. Maybe that plays a factor, but I don't know. I could be on what RA is taking too, so I'm thinking of the wrong guy right now.
Nothing yet. We just mentioned Tom Wilson. Yeah, the Kings of the podcast, John Hovan and Dennis Bernstein, they reported that they've been told the Kings have definitely kicked the tires on Tom Wilson. He's only got one more year left in this deal, $5.16 million left. I mean, that'd be a hell of an addition if you're going to make a run for a cup, dog, no?
I mean,
he's a complimentary guy. He's like,
but if he's available, there needs to be 30 teams. LA is like, they already play that style. I guess he'd be perfect for there, but there's teams who don't play that style that need a guy like that. Like, if they're willing to trade Tom Wilson, every team in the league should be trying to get him.
Think about their guys up top that were so good. Guys that we like Arvidsson and some of these guys. They're like these smaller guys that are very effective. Now you're changing the game when you put in a guy like that from another planet.
And he's got a good cap hit. He's just over $5 million.
Who do you got to beat? Who do they have to beat to win the cup?
Edmonton and maybe Vegas.
They're going to have to beat Vegas. You saw what they can do.
Vegas is going to be different, though.
They're big. You need a big, burly guy to get in the finals.
Yeah. Vegas is going to be different.
You think?
Yeah.
LT. Yeah, they got a lot of.
I mean, they have
money.
their right now. They're like a $94 million team, and then are they going to be able to re-sign Barbashev? I think McNabb needs a new contract. Carrier's, I think, needs a new contract.
They've got with
Vegas
the Stone
is not
injury, they're
be the
way
same.
over the cap, and they've had cap issues forever.
Yeah.
They had to dress 16 guys. Like,
it's Edmonton's
they're
time,
there right now,
It's
and
Edmonton's
see what happens next year.
Yeah, the Kings, I'm not sure if they're going to try to sign Corpusalo as well. They do need a start goalie. I know they have Phoenix Copley one more year, but they probably want another guy to go in there with him. So see what happens on that front. Chicago extended forward Andreas Anthony with the 2-year, $8.5 million deal. Comes out to $4.25 a year. He had 20 goals, 20 assists in 81 games for the Blackhawks last year. I'm sure Bedard being
that
there
gets you $4 million a year.
is a nice little enticement. So now you can play with Bedard. And
but he scored a sick goal against the Penguins on like a triple rebound that like sunk the Penguins
in a
that
must-win
night.
game. That's why Florida's in this cup final.
That's why, because of like him and Buddy. Did Buddy Robinson
get it? That was after Pittsburgh made it 2-2. I think he scored.
Yeah, he scored. He went in. He carved in with a skate. He's a sick skater.
Game.
That kid's a sick skater. He shot it, got a rebound, then got it again from behind the net and banked it in off Jari. So, but we know what he can do. He's a smaller player, but he's skilled and he's laser fast.
Yep.
This next one, Biz, you probably got to have a rocket in your pants. Shane Doan joined the Toronto Maple Leafs front office as a special advisor to GM Brad Treliving. I mean, you must be over the moon.
I love Donor. I can't hate the Leafs now because Donor's there.
Yeah,
even Tree. I like Tree too.
I know.
I always go back to that round table, and Donor's been around the game a long time. He's a smart hockey mind. He's done an incredible job with the Hockey Canada side of things. And I think he was looking for an opportunity to kind of jump up and add to that job title. And with this opportunity, he was the captain there when Treliving was the assistant GM. So there's a lot of chemistry there. From talking to Donor, it seems when Tree's not at the games, he wants Donor there. So you just going back
to
gonna
move
comfort.
No,
comfort.
Just having a guy you trust and especially the eyes on your product. Knowing that getting a guy's opinion that who you trust. So I always go back to that round table mentality where it's going to be Shanahan, Tree, and Donor, and along with those hockey minds, I think that they're going to be able to really add the pieces they need and figure things out for the future. So I'm just personally happy for Donor because I know he likes being in the mix and he likes a challenge, and he's I believe he's going to finally get that Stanley Cup on the management side.
What a great year for Donor too. Like he gets the opportunity with Hockey Canada.
Won 2 golds in a row now.
Golds, and then Kamloops Blazers, who's part owners of Wilson Memorial Cup this year. I saw him doing interviews. He was out there during that, and then straight out of that, boom, he's assistant GM and with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, and it could happen to a better guy.
No,
too.
and I know I've been
great teammate, great guy.
I've been all over Dubas, but I should be sending him a gift basket at this point because now I have my friends in the mix with the Leafs land, and this is no longer a Boston Bruins podcast. We've transformed to
it wasn't a Boston Bruins podcast after they lost and already had Panthers.
A full Leafs on podcast. We'll be starting out with them every single episode this next season, and maybe we'll even have a weekly segment with Donor and Tree. Maybe we won't even talk about any other teams. I don't know. Maybe we'll be like the Steve Dangle
it's the new
Chiclets
Leafs
podcast.
lunch, Chiclets.
Yeah.
Biz, I had a guy, he sent me a picture from a betting site. They had Next head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Paul Biznasty Biznet.
I'm talking to them.
Plus 21,200. Is there any chance this guy cashes
I would
this?
sprinkle.
What do you bet?
Sprinkle a little.
$25.
25 bucks.
Sprinkle a little. You never know.
Jeez,
I'm
I wouldn't bet that.
I'm in talks with Donor. I think we have different philosophies as to where we want the team playing. But ultimately, I think we're going to come to an agreement. So we'll see.
He's like,
Are you going to beat his ear busy?
I was like, Biz, where are you taking the team? It's training camp. He's like, Cabo. He's like, there's no rinks. He's like, no, it's okay.
They're like, hey, everybody, welcome to Central Scouting Testing. It's now time for the Maple Leafs interview portion. Paul, could you please come out and interview these kids so we can really get to
like Roy Kent, like Roy Kent on Ted Lasso.
They're like, guys, no beers on the plane, but nose beers are allowed.
Bugsy will be in player development. Yeah, 100%.
How about me and Murr went for a long walk on the strip this morning? We did an hour walk just to kind of get outside, and we walked through the half outdoor casinos in one of the bars. And what was that casino?
Flamingo.
Bugsy's Bar is the name of the bar there. I was like,
Shout out to
oh,
Bugsy.
shit.
Shout out to Bugsy.
Bugsy Bar.
We went, me, Fish, and Sean went looking for the monument back there because there's a legit monument to Bugsy Siegel, but they said it was closed. I don't know how you close a friggin' monument. Like, how many other cities in America have a monument to a legit gangster?
So today, too, we went out and we were doing some content stuff. We ran into that guy, comes right up to us, speaking just of random things. Guy comes up, he's like, hey, I'm the guy that made that bet.
Oh,
yeah, Biz.
Oh.
So we did Man on the Street.
This random dude. And we're like, what do you mean? What bet? And he goes on to tell us, and we're like, oh, yeah, you're the guy.
He bet $100 on Argentina to win the World Cup, the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA title,
And
the
he
Vegas
cashed out?
No,
Not yet.
and the Vegas Golden Knights to win the cup.
He's waiting for them
$100
to win.
79,000.
We ran into him on the street.
He showed me the ticket, and he has. This morning we saw him. He has Denver Nuggets shorts on and an Argentina soccer jersey on.
Wow.
And he was with his girlfriend. I go, what are you going to buy her when you win this
what'd he
bet? He's
say?
like, you just put me in a real bad spot. She was disgusted with his act.
Yeah.
His name
I
is
was gonna
John
say-
Grace, too.
John Grace?
John Grace.
I was going to
is
say,
his name.
hey,
was a
I was going to say you're going to ask her to marry you, but I didn't want to put him in a real tough spot. But
Oh,
he goes,
jeez.
what do you say? He goes, I guess I'll just take her out
He goes,
to
I'll take her
dinner.
out to dinner. I go, what a guy.
Yeah.
I go, what a guy you are, buddy.
My wife will be like, what ticket? What are you talking about? Like, keep in the dock if you get a fucking big one of that. You keep those secret, man.
Holy
No, you got to
shit.
get the clout from it. So I thought you guys were going to.
No, he doesn't want to tell the girl, is what he's saying. So RA's wife's like, what else are you hiding?
I thought you guys were going to reference.
Ari's bugging his wife for getting groceries. He's cashing $80,000 tickets.
Yeah, there was a
Wish.
ticket out there with
Then he's snorting it up his nose.
three championship winners that a guy cashed out of after the first team had won it, and it was it was Kansas City Chiefs, and then he had the Denver Nuggets, and then one other one that was obvious, and it was going to win him $50,000, but he cashed out for $150 after Kansas City had won it for whatever reason. Like, who the fuck cashes out of a future?
Yeah, why even make the bet?
Why even make the?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Hey, but then you're like, oh, if this guy had to make his rent payment where he's cashing out of this type of deal, that's the only excuse, right? Where this guy's slim pickings.
He had Kansas City to win the Super Bowl, Connecticut to win the Final Four, and the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA championship.
Yeah,
At least let
And
it
what
go
was
for
the payout?
two.
It was
At least get it go
it
for the
was
second leg.
plus 286,100.
Oh, my God.
And
That's
what
the
did he
kind of
bet?
shit I
What
love,
a
Murr.
pussy that guy
That's
is.
what I love, Murr.
Yeah.
You know I love
That's
that,
a
Murr.
puck line parlay.
Oh, no, my gosh, guys.
A draw lay.
He bet $25 and he cashed it out at $122.
there. That's right. Yeah, that's
That's the one, Biz. That is
That's got to be
That's-
the biggest gambling fumble of all time.
I'm actually, because I guess the Chiefs.
$25.
Because the Chiefs were the biggest.
Oh, what an idiot.
25
Seriously.
Hey, the payout was 71,000.
There you go.
That's like this guy's bet.
That guy deserves.
It
That
was
guy
so cool
deserves
running
to
into
get
this guy.
rid
The
of
point
you.
is,
Maroon.
we ran into this guy on the street today in Vegas. It was so cool to run into him with that thing because I'm like, dude, you hit that now. You went viral posting it, but like, he's gonna go huge in a few days.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll find out about basketball,
Yeah.
but
Dude, I actually forgot to bring this up at the airport. I had it was like 7:03 a.m. Sunday it left. So I go through, some guy like recognized me at security, said hi, big fan. Then I got through, and this other guy recognized me, big fan. And this other guy with his wife and two kids. Dude, it's 5:50 in the morning, 6 a.m. Like, I was getting there early. He came up, and I was like, oh, he recognized too. He goes, you think you're so much better than people? I said, what? He goes, I listen to your show. You're cocky. And I had, dude, I was just like,
shit.
I had all these things I was going to say, and I was just like, have a good vacation with your family, man. That's what I
And you said it like that, which
No,
man,
I looked at it, I just said, I was just like, what? Like, like you didn't even know me.
Right.
Man.
I would have
I go, have a
fucking.
good vacation with your
That's
family.
so restrained.
I
And
know.
nice
It
of you.
was, well, if it wasn't 6 a.m., I think I would have like
You know what I
lost
would
my
have said
mind.
to him?
Go fuck yourself.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
No, I was almost like, I am.
Are
better
you
than
out of your fucking mind?
6 a.m.
Hey.
This guy, you think you're better than people? I was like, what? The, I was
Hey,
like,
Biz-
I was like,
hey,
am I on
Biz.
punk? Am I getting punked?
Hey, you should have given him your first class seat.
have a good.
Hey,
you should have
hey.
given him your first class
I'm like,
seat
this
and said,
guy's a
here.
prick, dude. I didn't even met this guy.
That's like if he's like real close to you, just like dunk headbutt him in the nose. But
No,
your
like,
tune changed.
I break my forehead.
Your tune changed real quick. We were gambling at the casino today, and this lady, I complimented her, and she was like grumpy when we sat down, right? The
Yes.
dealer.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my, because she's counting like so amazing at blackjack. Like I'm like 4 plus that. I'm like, what is that? I'm like,
I almost want to preface this
Yeah.
with when you're gambling. I think anyone who's been
We
to
just wanna have a good
casino would
time.
agree. You just. I'm not asking for a dealer to be like super friendly or like
it's a lot
the
of energy.
nicest guy or woman in the world, but having a miserable dealer who's like not smiling and not talking and not joking at all, it's like it just ruins your vibe. And when we sat down right away, I could tell this
Yeah.
woman was like in a bad mood. So
and this is where I give you credit for this too, because you restrained yourself, but we're playing and she's counting these cards like she's doing it so fast.
You
And
only
I'm like,
threw one drink in her face?
No, I
didn't.
go, wow, you're amazing at counting cards. You're like AI, like artificial intelligence. She goes, you could try being nice to me. And I'm
this
like,
is-
I actually did. That's actually a really nice
That
compliment.
was you hitting on her.
Yeah, that was like amazing. I'm like, yeah, it's like pretty
Making
close.
the eating pussy at her face. Like,
No, I complimented her on how fast she can count. It was amazing to see. And she said that, and Whit goes, that's it, I'm done. He just gives his chips in, like more restraint, but in a nice
I
way.
was like, I'm not sitting here with this.
I'm not sitting here
woman,
with this
woman's
miserable
so
person. I
miserable.
can't deal with this. Blah, blah, blah. And then he got up and left, and I'm like, thank you for that. And we all cashed in. We all went to another table.
Hey, but the
Oh.
best part is Grinelli's the last guy, and he's like, I was winning.
I keep
man."
winning.
I hadn't lost a hand.
I
I
was
won
winning, man. I go, well, stay. That woman's miserable. I'm not gambling.
It
with
was
her.
the
8 hands in a
best.
row.
I'll tell you, man.
I
Like,
felt invigorated after. I was like, yes, Whit.
we're
More
G
people need
hasn't
to
won a
say
hand
that to
since
me.
then. He hasn't won a hand
since then.
I have not. It's
none of
brutal.
us have won anything
No.
here. But yeah, you just want. And then we had Juan. We had the
That
guy
guy's the
Juan.
best guy ever.
With
He
his
lasts
diaper.
And he was great. And he's
We're having
just
a great time.
And he's rooting for you. And by the way, if you're a dealer and listen to this, you make a salary. You have a whatever, like $15 an hour, whatever it is. If the players win, you're gonna get tipped. You're gonna make more money. So it's like I don't understand why they're not always like rooting for you. It almost seems like some of these people are like loss. They're
like-
just, yeah, just like give me a smile as I lose at least.
Yeah. So there's a little tangent
Have a
story
good
of
vacation.
Whit.
How about the guy that comes
No,
over?
Whit.
Oh, hey, Whit, how you doing?
Oh,
Whit's
my
got
God.
Whit's got a big bet up.
Oh my God.
Crushed. Guy stands like, can I get a picture with you? Whit puts another big hand up. Crushed. The guy still just stands there. Just, I'm like,
No,
I had
no.
to call it.
No, so Merle's goes, hey, just take the picture with him. I was like,
it was the
I
pit
told the
boss.
dealer, I go,
was
no
like
more
this in the
hands. I go,
picture.
no more cards to this picture's done.
so
This
then
guy was
another
a
guy
munch.
comes over and he's like, hey, and I was like, what's up, man? I was like, hold on one sec. And I lost a huge hand. And the guy goes, ooh, that hurts. I'm like, dude, you fucking get away. But I took a picture.
Hey, Whit, admit this though. Next greatest reality show is Merle's
Merle's at a
gambling.
casino.
Merle's at a casino.
It's something else.
This guy.
Oh my God! Give me
He's
a
like, oh,
white
you
Russian.
kidding
This
me?
is unbelievable. Give me the 6 last hand. I had blackjack, but nope, you pull the 6. You get blackjack. This is bullshit.
You could make you could make a movie about the fact that he is the
His character.
nicest guy in
Yeah.
the world outside the casino, and then he walks into this casino and he just has these like
Oh, he's
devil
dialed.
eyes. He
Yeah,
just
it's like-
sees
it's like
red.
A flip. A
dialed.
switch is flipped, and all of a sudden it's Merle.
I'm like,
Sucking white Russians.
Oh, we're playing craps. And I'm like, I don't know how to play this game. How do we play this game? Merle's like, don't say anything. I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. And he's like, just do this and that's it. Be quiet. I'm like, well, what does this mean? And he's like, shh, you listen to me?
I have
and I'm
a
like, I don't know
system
what
that
I'm
works.
doing. And
He
I got
does have
them
a system
yelling
that
at
works.
me.
I've
down
taught
to 8
over
million.
100 people.
Army's a casino war guy.
I don't know what's going
I've taught
on.
100 people minimum how to play craps. Swedes, Czechs,
He's like, in every
guys
language.
from Boston.
Taught me.
It's a slow process.
Yeah,
Spend 30 minutes, learn that bet. Spend 30 minutes that bet. No, Army wants to know all the information. He wants to know what a hop bet is. He wants to know the hard ways. Like, you're not ready for that, Army.
No.
Let's learn the pass line. Learn that.
I can't even put my chips on the table
It's like
and now
a
it's getting
little
yelled
kid.
at.
You gotta learn to
you're
skate.
talking to the other girl. She doesn't know how to explain it properly
Yeah,
to
she
you in
hates
your
me.
kind of language. Listen to me.
We need to
Telling you.
go.
If we go
need-
back again, I'd like to another shot at it, but I was feeling
I
anxious.
think you burnt it. I think
I was like,
you-
oh
you
my
ruined it.
God,
You
I
don't want
hate
another
craps.
chance.
Fuck
You,
craps.
You don't want another shot. You left and go, that game sucks.
Yeah,
I'm
I
never playing
hated
that
it.
fucking game
I'm
again.
like,
This
I
game
got
sucks.
3 of the workers there yelling at me. I got Merle's telling me to shut the fuck up. I got
was
Whit
telling the
going,
dealers to be
listening to
quiet.
Merle. Listen to Merle's, Army. Listen to Merle's. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Because that worked for me. That worked for me when I
If
was.
they would all just be quiet, you listen to me, I'll teach you, Army.
It was chaos,
Don't
man. When we
engage
left,
the dealers. You were engaging them like
I
you're-
know.
Don't engage them. Be like, I'm fine. My
they kept
buddy over here's
yelling
gonna teach
cold
me.
cuts at me. Cold cuts, cold cuts. I'm like, what? What are you saying? I'm like, I don't know what's going
That's
on.
why she got was barking at you after the AI comment because
No, no,
Merle's
yeah,
is
that was
probably
a different
fuck
one.
you and her.
No, never swear at the tables. Never swear at the tables.
No,
Number 1 rule.
it's actually a legit thing.
Merle's is a maniac in the casino with like
Merle's
rituals.
gonna have a pit boss and a headlock tonight. Oh, I never yell at the dealers.
rituals,
I'm sitting out. I'm going to be escorted out.
rituals, procedure, like how you run things, where you sit, what you're allowed to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm like
follow.
sitting there. I'm like, this is insane.
Dude, we had a
Crazy game.
We had a dealer who, at his youngest, is 60 years old. I was to say 70. And Merle's told him he's been playing this game since the guy was in diapers. I'm like, Merle.
No, the guy had the best comeback.
This guy is so old.
Oh, yeah, the guy,
That guy had the best
one.
comeback. He goes, I am in diapers right now. Because he didn't want to take a bathroom break while he's working, so he didn't lose money.
Shit.
Yeah, they got him shackled to the table.
Before we continue, folks, I'm here to talk to you about G4, the best shoe wear in golf. We have great news. We've discovered everyone's new go-to golf shoe. Seriously, the G4 G112 from G4 checks all the boxes. It's modern, it's comfortable, and unlike any golf shoe you've ever tried before. It's so easy to put on and wear. You don't even feel like you're competing in a sport. You just feel like you're comfortable walking around. This athletic style is available in so many colors and designs for both men and women. You could wear a different pair every single time you step up to the tee. From vibrant colors to staples, there's a G112 golf shoe for every type of player. Check out g4.com/chiclets. That's GFORE.com/chiclets for 10% off your first order. Once again, go to g4.com/chiclets, GFORE.com/chiclets for 10% off your first order. Do it now.
Big surprise here. The Ottawa Sun is becoming more of a soap opera, Merles. Per Bruce Garrioch of this Ottawa Sun, Steve Apostolopoulos has left the bidding process. He left out of frustration with the process and how long negotiations have taken. He was reportedly the highest bidder in the process, more than $1 billion for the Ottawa Senators. He's the second bidder to walk away after Ryan Reynolds and the Remington Group did the same thing last month. Now there's just 2 serious offers out there. Toronto business and Michael Andlauer and Jeffrey and Michael, was it Kimmel? Is that how you say it?
Kimmels. Yeah, they used to be part owners of the Penguins.
Okay.
Good dudes, too.
The bid from Nico Sparks remains on the table, but the scuttlebutt is that the bid is underfunded and doesn't stand much of a chance of winning. So the Sens continue to be the Sens. The seal getting dragged out. I figured they'd be done with it by now, but it's not. So see what happens there. Also, the Q cracking down on fighting even more, Colby. I'm sure you don't want to hear this.
No one wants to hear it.
Commissioner Mario Cicchini said, we are taking a tremendous stride towards player safety. 4 rules were added or altered. 1, all players involved in the fight will receive a game misconduct. 2, any player identified as the instigator of a fight will receive a 1-game suspension in addition to a game misconduct.
God, give it a rest.
3, right? Any player...
I've heard enough.
All right, sorry, Biz. So, I mean, are these just ridiculous?
Well, you know what's going to happen, Busy, and I'll say this now before you get going.
Well, I don't need to say
The
much other than it's fucking ridiculous.
NCAA game already doesn't have fighting. So why are you going to stay there if you can't show that you have this extra thing? Why would you stay there? So what guys are going to start to do and go, if I'm that kind of guy, why would, if I can go to NCAA and get my education and go do all this stuff and they'll say they have a package and everything, who gives a shit? What separates you now? What makes you like this next level thing? What makes the CHL this next level thing? Merles, we talked about this.
You've lost enough players. You're losing more players every year to the NCAA. Here's comes some more. Bring them down. Come on down, boys.
I just think the Q's a bit of a joke league anyway, so I really don't care at this point how many more fucking rules they change. It's softer than puppy shit. It's
They just won the Memorial Cup.
Destroyed
Quebec
everybody.
Ramparts.
Yeah, because look at their trading rules,
Yeah.
where all these fucking teams just load up at the deadline. I mean, I know it happens in all of the
Are you a
leagues
Western
across.
guy then? Are you saying you're a Western League
No,
guy?
I'm just saying that the fucking Q's softer than puppy shit. Why not just completely ban it? We're saying if you fight, you get thrown out of the goddamn league at this point. Because like it's every year they're adding 4 new fighting rules. I think it's a joke. I think it's an element to the game that's important. And I'm not saying that it should be a free for all the way that it used to be. But I think that it's a development league, so at a certain point you're going to have to get handed off to pro hockey where it's still legal. So.
And it kind of hurts some of the kids that could go out, throw a bunch of big hits, pump some guy's eyes shut, and scouts are like, oh.
Well, that's what Army just alluded to. Where as far as showing off that type of skill, where
sorry, I was in the bathroom.
No worries. Whereas, that could obviously show your intangibles as a forward if you're just an average player. Where those types of depth players are needed. Where you're a good penalty killer, you're physical, you can fight 10 times a year in case your skill guys are getting ran. Where we're not talking about dropping the mitts 30, 40 times the way it used to be. We're talking about the NHL leader in fights is probably half the amount now than it was 10 years ago.
I will say this. Memorial Cup just now, Corey Stillman's kid, I believe it is, with the Peterborough Petes, they were losing, like getting their asses kicked by the Kamloops Blazers. He came out, crushed a guy, then dropped his gloves with the guy, welded his eyes shut. They came back and won in overtime.
Yeah.
They were way down. So, that's not allowed to happen anymore. Like, where are we going to get guys like that with character, of a guy like Stillman, of a kid that has the cojones to do this or play that certain way, that game now is like boa constricted out of you. And it's a shame. And I know people talk about, I don't want to see like 16-year-olds getting their asses kicked by a 20-year-old. I get it. But like, I fought 20-year-olds when I was 16. I'm fine. You're fine. Fucking get in there.
I'm not saying it should be happening every night.
I don't know what your consensus, Army.
Doesn't mind. I have a problem. I eat too much food now. I can't stop. But you're going to be okay, okay? We're going to get through this together, guys.
Depending on your definition of fine, you guys are doing great.
Either way, the Q has seen a drastic decrease in fights over the years. They went from 0.78 fights per game back in 2011-12 to just 0.07 last season. In the same time frame, the NHL's gone from 0.44 fights per game to 0.25 in the same span. So fighting's obviously dropping. But like I've said a million times on the show, it's in case of emergency, break glass. It's there for the guys who want it. Nobody really has to fight if they don't want to. So it's always going to be there. Just lesser and lesser, especially these kids getting a little bit softer and softer.
What a crazy thing, though.
How do you not like fighting?
I'm not saying it's certain aspects aren't good, but if you told me when we met when I was a rookie, 2004, 5, it's like, and you told me, hey, in less than 20 years, this is going to be all gone, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, no way. And it's just...
Here, let me ask you this. What's more likely in 20 years, self-driving cars or the fact there's no fighting in the NHL?
Are self-driving cars already around?
So you're saying...
Well, from a perspective of
like
where
flying cars.
we're like a high
Flying
percentage
cars.
of people have self-driving cars.
Correct.
I would say no fighting in the NHL at all.
More likely?
Because I think there's so many people like myself, like I'll never, ever not drive my car. Like, and I think there's so many people that say that, whereas in 20 years, you tell me 2043, yeah, I could easily see fighting's banned in the NHL.
Let me say this too. I fought in junior a few times a year. Busy, you were better at it. You were good at it. And I always said this, and I talked to Brandon Pruss, teammate of mine in Montreal. Smaller guy, really good fighter.
Tough
as shit, great dude, and would fight anybody. And I was always like amazed at him. I always said, hey, dude, I wish I could fight like you. And he always said to me, no, you don't. I said, why? He said, because then you got to do it all the time, man.
Yeah.
And I respect that. But for me, a guy that fights 2-3 times a year to keep credibility and I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I kind of sometimes need it. Just like you when you didn't wash your hands on your hike. Let me ask you guys this though. Two guys too that didn't.
Merle's did more than
Merle's did too, but like you don't mind it. Like you're not gonna get hurt. Like you're okay, but like you're okay to do it. So like, do we have to go this extreme of something that like majority aren't? The biz job is gone. Majority of the guys don't mind it. not a big deal. They'll fight maybe once a year. Maybe.
Well, I will say that there's guys that I think if you're struggling and you're not scoring and you're physical, it's like, man, I could use one right now.
Yeah.
Because at least then my entire team and coaching staff's going to be like, he brought that tonight. So it's almost like a sense of like, when you're not doing anything right.
Gets you going.
It gets you going. I'll say for me, like, if I was going into a game and I like knew I had to fight, I would kind of be like rattled, which never really happened. I think one time I knew I was going to have to fight a guy and I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine like Biz knowing he had to do it. But the times you did it when it came out of, I'll say not passion, but it came out of the game after, it is pretty sick feeling. You're okay. As long as you're okay, you're like, oh my God, like the boys are patting you on the back. It is a very original thing for hockey in which like your whole team loves you and you feel pretty good about yourself because it ain't about winning. It's just about showing up. So that's a great question though, Biz. Like in 20 years, will it be gone from the NHL? I don't know.
To be.
Here's the thing. Even if it's gone and banned rules-wise, they'll still happen and guys will get suspended. But the way this game's played, like there's just no chance like how angry people
I'm
get.
just picturing state troopers pulling over Whit for driving his own car when the government's making you have to drive self-driving cars.
Because he had to go like 40 the whole way.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit.
Who did you know you were going to be fighting with before the game?
It was AHL. I think it was.
It was me in practice at one time. I fucking
I'll remember.
Okay.
I knew I had
All right.
one
Guy in
coming.
Norfolk.
Yeah, I had
Another skill guy?
Was
Yeah.
Newski.
Oh,
we
he's
were in a-
tough,
he was
too.
too.
We were in a
That guy-
fun bunch, and he was going after Willette when the year Willette had 30 goals in 30 games. And I was like, hey, don't touch that guy. Boom, he just dropped his mitt, knocked me right down immediately, one punch. And I said, that motherfucker, I'm going to get him next game when we were playing
I
him in
can't
like
wait to
6
take
weeks.
this out on the dealers.
And I'm on there, and I'm doing bench press and bicep curls. I'm going to
fighting.
get this guy. 6 weeks later, we go down to Norfolk. Thomas Sorovi starts the game. Wisniewski's out there. I'm like, Sorovi, as soon as it's dropped, get over here. Comes right over. I go out there. I'm like, go over, tomahawk. I'm like, let's go. We're going. Like, boom, boom, boom. Bang,
Oh, he's
bang,
so
bang.
tough,
He just
dude.
dummied me
Yeah,
again.
That's a
No.
game notes thing. You
No.
should have read the game
Yeah,
notes.
he's like played in the OHL. Like I know.
But it was
I
weird
lived
knowing you had a fight. Like it was.
Your
I
game
was always
notes
just a
move.
fight out of the fun
Yep.
bunch guy.
Yep.
I knew I had a fight, and it was a really
Wiz
weird.
could chuck
week.
him.
Dude, he's tough.
Yeah, and he's like a
Oops.
Barbashev.
Hey,
too.
But I said I was going to do it, so I had to do
Hey,
it.
Merle's is renting the old UFC VHSs, getting
Yeah.
ready for this scrap.
I was like scroy outside, punching the trees, getting my.
He took the power
knuckles
steering out
stronger.
of his car so he could steer and work.
It's like,
his
what are you
shoulders.
blowing up there? He's got a speed bag in a corner of the room on the road, just fucking.
But I mean, there's no fighting in Europe and all
He's
the
putting on
European
war
hockey,
paint.
and that hockey goes along fine. There's
He's like
no fighting.
Commando. He's like
Hey, yeah,
Yeah,
Arnold.
you're right. You're right.
Hey, Merle's is putting on the eye black. Before the game
He's
in
like
the mirror.
Arnold.
What are you doing in here, Merle's?
Yeah,
Put
I was
stripes down
brutal.
his arms. and
Next thing you
everything,
know,
like
they're
Commando.
trying to stitch him up through the eye black. It's like, oh, this wasn't a good idea.
Okay, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends at The Score. Hello, Canada. This episode is brought to you by The Score Bet Sportsbook and Casino. The Score Bet is the best sportsbook for the hockey obsessed. With a wide variety of markets and daily specials from us here at Spittin Chiclets, it's got you covered for everything on the ice. So, if you're in Ontario only, download the Score Bet app and create an account today. You can build and follow your bets directly from the Score Sports app for the best possible experience. With the playoff push in full steam right now, you don't want to miss anything. And the Score Bet also has you covered for all your other favorite sports and players as well. Plus, there's a ton of iCasino games any day, anytime. That's the Score Bet. Download today and see how the best sports app, period, does sports betting. Please play responsibly. 18 plus. Ontario only. Gambling problem? Call ConnexOntario at 1-866-531-2600. All right, boys, that wraps up all the hockey stuff. But this week on our text thread, a pretty hot topic was the movie Blackberry. I think Whitney, you were the first one to text about it.
I was just searching like through online or whatever the apps, like looking for a movie, and this popped up, and I didn't really like. I was interested in knowing the whole story behind it because I knew iPhone buried it. I never had a BlackBerry, but like everyone did for the most
did.
part, and but I wanted to see the story, and then I had like totally forgot that I was on the Penguins when Jim Balsillie. And what a psychopath, huh?
Yeah, how
what a
how-
crazy and like how he's so everyone's calling him Ball Silly. He's like, it's Balls Illy. Like he's so the guy seemed like the movie made him look like a complete asshole. he gets fired at the beginning.
He's a hostile takeover guy.
He tried to bully his way into buying a team.
Well, yeah, and so for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, stop listening, say for the next 4 or 5 minutes, because spoiler alerts. But this guy, he was working at the beginning of the movie. He's working at what seems like a pretty legit job, and totally disobeys his boss and ends up getting fired right on the spot. That's the beginning of the movie, and he had met right before the scene where he gets fired these two guys who had kind of thought of the technology on like what BlackBerry would be like. These guys had created like, we're gonna have a computer in a phone, like, and he's like, what are these guys talking about? They had a brutal name. He gets fired. He goes right to their office. They had like 11 employees at the time, and he's like, I want to be your CEO, but I want half the company. And they were like, no, and he gives him 125 grand for 33%, and he gets named co-CEO. And I will say, from the movie, this is all the movie, this guy, he was a shark. Like business-wise and in meetings, this guy was an animal. And these guys were kind of nerdy tech.
So they needed a voice.
The main guy knew it. They needed a guy to be able to sell. They had signed a deal with a cell company for about $16 million, I think, and they hadn't gotten any money yet.
Reminds me of Zuckerberg and one who Timberlake plays, where he didn't have the savviness.
Sean Penn.
He's the guy that invented Napster.
Sean Penn, right?
Sean Penn's an actor.
Sean Penn.
Justin Timberlake
is the guy in the movie. His name is Sean. He apparently in the movie invented Napster. That was him. He's the Napster guy.
Correct. They just needed a guy like that. So he ended up going on this rip.
Dude, and this guy took him to the next level. And BlackBerry's created Sean Parker. And they at one point they had 50% of people at cell phones, 50% of the market share, and they're killing it. Well, the movie goes along, and the whole movie, it was very adamant. He's always listening to Toronto Sports Talk Radio about the Leafs.
He's watching Don Cherry.
He's watching Don Cherry talk about them. He's watching Leafs games, and then he meets another guy who's big with Palm Pilot. And this guy he fucking hates. He can't stand this guy. This guy comes in. He's like, we need to combine our companies. And like, he's like, oh, we should go to the Leafs game. The guy's like, I hate hockey. And it like pissed him off. Like, you got to watch the movie, but all of a sudden they go into his hockey ship owner. So early in the movie, he's at a game and he yells out to his assistant, make sure Bettman doesn't give me those shitty seats again. But it's pretty adamant that he's kind of close friends with Gary Bettman. And then all of a sudden, now he's loaded, and you can tell he's loaded. Like, it fast forward, say 5, 6, 7 years, and BlackBerry's now new.
Like the market share, they've taken over market share.
Yeah, but they're now like their office is fucking huge, and there's hundreds and hundreds of employees. And he now is going to become owner of the Penguins. And now I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. Like, we were on the Penguins, and Jim Balsillie was going to buy him. And his whole thing, he was moving him to Hamilton. That was it.
Right.
And he was moving him to Hamilton. And there's a scene where that same guy he hates from Palm Pilot, who was going to try to like combine Palm Pilot and bully them into BlackBerry being one, he says to his assistant, he goes, hey, and he knew the guy hated hockey. He says, hey, tell him he should come to the Hamilton Penguins game next season. I got tickets for him. Well, all of a sudden, Bettman calls him. He says, we have the whole board here. We got to get this thing done. Like, he's going to buy the team. This is a done deal. So he's trying to get a deal done to save BlackBerry. It's like, the whole movie aspect. Then he hops on his jet to New York and he gets in there. And he's like, they're like, yeah, it's over. Everyone voted against you. They say you're not a man of high character and morality.
Yeah, no, I remember during the time he was fucking up his own program because he was too loudmouthed about
exactly what Bettman said to him
about wanting to move the team. Now, at that time, though, as you mentioned, BlackBerry, there was a point where they could have sold it and he could have got off, where he doubled down on it, where didn't it end up going the other way where he lost lots?
So I don't know, because I was actually looking after for his net worth. He's still a very rich man, but there's a guy in the movie, one of the two nerds that started it. I feel bad calling them nerds. One of the two techie guys.
Call them nerds.
Do not.
One of the nerds. One of the two techie guys.
Everybody's new boss.
I wonder who they're talking to.
So the other co-CEO was like, he was the genius behind it, and his best friend was like his right-hand man. This guy Doug, he was hilarious. He always had on like
red bandana.
He always had a bandana on. He was funny, like just a kind of a good team guy. They had movie night at BlackBerry and with all the other nerds. And after the movie, it says, right before Apple unleashed the iPhone, this guy sold all his shares. He's one of the richest men in Canada.
Right.
Yeah. He knew when to get out.
That's when he needed to get off, because the valuation when there was no iPhone around, I mean, everybody had a BlackBerry, right?
Yeah, and I never did, but I remember everyone had one, and they show a clip of Steve Jobs announcing the iPhone. And like all the people from BlackBerry watch it, and you can tell they do a good job acting like, oh fuck,
Yeah, something's up.
like this isn't good. And that guy was smart enough to realize like. And then all of a sudden they they wanted to start making the Blackberries in China to save money. They all started coming messed up. Verizon ended up suing for $500 million for faulty product because it was incorrect. It wasn't working.
Oh,
They tried
God.
going to the screen. They tried getting away from the keyboard. They tried going to the screen.
When they moved away from that little ball thing,
That's all in there.
I'll never.
You got to watch the movie. It's great.
I will.
It's a great movie.
Okay,
but,
I got a lot to
But
catch
this
up
ball
on.
silly, and that's when you don't know if it's movie or if it's true, but he's screaming at Gary Bettman, I'm gonna fucking buy this whole league, fucking losing his
After
mind.
they pigeon tossed him?
After they pigeon tossed him, screaming, running
Who
out of
played
the
Gary
meeting.
in it?
This guy who didn't really look like him, but the dude it's the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dennis Reynolds, plays Jim Balsillie. He's bald.
Glenn
and-
Howerton.
Yeah, he's great actor. He did a good because he's a comedian and always does Sunny, whatever. And I'd never seen him in anything else. He was good in that.
He was incredible, but he went to like a dramatic arts like school, whatever.
So
he
he's
went
an actor.
He's like a legit actor, did theater, but he was awesome. And too, Jay Baruchel, my pal from Goon,
so
he played
good.
like the other nerd, other tech guy, and he did a great job because he's kind of like a hyper kid. He had to like really kind of keep himself quiet. He was kind of like the quiet, bookish type.
Yeah.
But they both did an outstanding job in it. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Kind of
Definitely
another
please.
example of like greed seems to kill so many people. Like greed is something that if you have it, you're going to end up shriveling yourself.
So-
And there was so much greed within this Balsillie guy.
Yeah, so my thing is you have to be tapped like that to originally
get there?
there. But yes, not understanding it, not being able to see the forest through the trees in certain instances, you're like, oh God. But I think that those wires are what make them successful to begin with and give them the confidence to even get to where he got.
I mean, they show clips of Oprah giving away, she gives away things. She gives away these Blackberries. She's like, you send emails and you call and like the whole crowd's going nuts. Like you forget, like before iPhone, it was Blackberry.
Yeah,
and
Blackberry.
Or you had a flip phone.
Yeah, we had a flip phone. I had a Nokia. I just played Snake. I must have played Snake 500 hours.
Yeah.
Remember Snake? And it's just it was a cool movie. I think part of it we talked at dinner is like we're like the last generation of people who lived with and without the internet.
So I
And
always
it's-
talk about this.
And I really do think it was like a better world without.
Oh, buddy. I'm so grateful
well-
I got to grow up playing manhunt and roller hockey
And outside.
ball hockey. And
Outside.
Spin the
being
bottle.
outside. And,
Dude, I left in the summers. We had to. I remember this to this day. My mom would say 8 o'clock. Go outside. You come in for lunch at noon. You go back outside. You come in for dinner at 6. That we weren't allowed to be.
But you
in
didn't
the
wanna
house.
go in.
and I didn't want to be in. And we were in a neighborhood. I grew up. I don't know, 10 to 15 kids my age. It was awesome. And now I live in a neighborhood similar to how I grew up. There's no kids outside.
Yeah.
Nobody's outside
I
ever.
think the cell phones and how quick it's all moving makes it hard for these kids to appreciate what they have in front of them.
And I think Merle said last night, when cell phones came out and it was texting and it was calls, it was one thing. It's almost social media's really made it brutal.
Oh,
And the
it's- yeah.
video, like
Addicted.
when it was texting and phones, it was
Yeah.
kind of like whatever. Like there's not that much you can do. Now the ability to just sit on it and be on Twitter and do your TikToks, it's like that's really what's ruined it. But I know, I don't know. I would guess people were happier before phones.
If you could pick somebody to be Gary Bettman's actor in a movie, I think that Danny DeVito would be a great pick. No? Because you said Always Sunny, and I'm like, no way, they got Danny DeVito to play Bettman. And I'm not even chirping him, but I feel like he would do an excellent job. He's got that same height. He's got the skullet aspect going on for him.
Yeah, I mean,
DeVito's like 5'1", isn't he?
He's built like a cigarette machine.
Get him some high heel Skechers, just like Gary wears, and you got him at 5'3".
You know, too,
He does rock the sketch.
He watches the sketch.
But it just shows how close the Penguins were. It wasn't just Kansas City. It was this Balsillie guy gets him. We never would have.
Fuck, why couldn't he have bought in the Coyotes?
I never would have experienced Diesel.
There's been this run too. I don't know if you noticed, like TV shows and movies, like all about products and how they came to be, like the Air movie, like, the Air Jordan, the Tetris movie that was on Apple.
think people-
Welcome to Chippendales. Did you see that on Hulu?
Yeah, I saw that.
Unreal. Watch it.
Look at Twitter and look at some of the most popular threads now is where how these guys like made their wealth.
Yeah.
You go towards the MLSC stuff you're seeing with Messi. Well, they go back to when David Beckham did it, and we talked about this and how he was given the Miami
Yep. Well, he signed with the Galaxy, but then he was given
the
franchise
opportunity
fee.
to have a franchise
For $25 million.
for a $25 million buy-in. Also, like who some of these other younger athletes where they're aligning with from like an investing standpoint, where they're getting in early on some of all these tech companies.
Messi's getting TV shares. He's getting the Apple TV shares,
so
jersey sales.
I want to say that MLSC got
MLS.
or MLS. I always say MLSC. Fuck, I'm an idiot with all
You're a
these.
Leafs fan.
MLS, yeah. But Apple paid, I want to say, $250 million for the rights for them for how many ever years. Where now all of a sudden that Messi signs up, that is so under valuation compared to what he's going to bring as far as numbers now.
Dude, so they had 1 million followers. Within like an hour after the signing, they were at 6 million. They're already at like 11 million, which is more than any NHL team combined, and then more than any NFL team, MLB team, NBA team. This is a soccer team in America.
It's
has more
global.
Instagram.
It's global.
So just going back to the product thing, I think people have became like fascinated by just the valuations and how quickly you can make money. I mean, were we talking about McGregor selling Proper 12 for $600 million? So it's just like next level with all these products.
Did you see him jack up that fucking mascot the other night?
I said last night, I think the McGregor story, like obviously the guy is, I didn't even know he sold that for $600 million. So I guess money isn't a thing, but he seems to be on kind of a fucked up path. So I don't know if you saw the clip.
He looks like he's on coke 24/7 now.
And so I think the he has a new company of the spray, like when you know the soccer players, they get sprayed with like the frozen spray. You're supposed to feel better. I think like it was all based on at the Heat game where he was gonna like fake punch the mascot and then spray him as like a little bit of an ad. Dude, he put the guy in the hospital.
Yeah.
One too many key tokes.
Beat the shit out of this mascot. They were dragging the mascot by his feet. And then he's spraying him with the stuff. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, he seems like just a little bit of a loose cannon, which I guess, goes without saying.
Well,
but
steroids and coke. It's basically like he's on Jack 3D right now.
Hey, back to creating your wealth and these billionaires in terms of the Cup Final. How did Bill Foley, Vegas, and Vinny Viola at Florida make their money? Do we know what they did?
Vinny Viola, I believe, started, and I could be wrong, like online stock market. So like the shit that we all do.
He was the first one to be using the graphs, the analytical graphs as to where it like predicts where it's going to go.
Yeah, okay.
So he was very early stages on that, and I want to say there was even like a federal indictment or something crazy that ended up happening where they thought he was like doing it illegally, where it's like no, it's just technology evolving.
Statistics.
Pick up a Blackberry for Christ's sake.
I'm winning.
Get a Blackberry.
Well, what do you guys think of? Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, you guys are talking about products getting in at the ground floor, when to get out, when to get in, billion-dollar businesses. Last chance for all of you on Chiclets Air next year for the final.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in.
All right, I'm in. I'm not missing out on this. Hey, do you guys
only if Andre was your top steward serving cookies out of his asshole?
So do you know how it's like popular where people just like hate billionaires and like would you say like to become a billionaire like
you have to be a sick fuck?
You got to be pretty like evil,
I think
evil kind of.
Well, I think that you
Cutthroat.
No.
Yeah, you're
cutthroat.
yeah.
Like, I feel like every billionaire out there has probably done some.
I mean, what are you
going to
do if your shit goes to the moon?
My thing is like, I guess Biz said like people are wired in a certain way to become that rich, but for me it's like, dude, if you gave me $100 million, I'm kind of done. Like it's just like I'm done. Like it's just these people like I guess they never get enough, and cutthroat's probably the right way to put it, but you got to probably pull some sketchy moves to become a billionaire.
Yeah, I think it becomes like a competition too. Like who's got more money? It's like
it's a
they
dick
just they
measuring
get caught up because
contest,
how much
for sure.
fucking money do you really need?
I know, that's my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the
you know what?
NHL players are all doing. They're doing it for just, I got to be the richest guy. I got to be the highest paid in the league.
Yeah.
It's all dick
I
switch.
can't believe we got on the internet conversation and didn't mention this baby Gronk situation, which is probably a good.
Pretty sad.
It's sad.
Pretty sad.
Very sad.
And for people
This
who
is
don't
what
know,
it's doing to people.
So for people who don't know, there's an 11-year-old out there who I think has 350,000 Instagram followers. He's called Baby Gronk. He's the best 11-year-old football player in the world. Like the fact we're even saying this is disgusting. Well, it's come out that his dad is pretty much, obviously, the kid's 11. He's running everything. He's DMing all these different accounts. The Bussin' with the Boys guys with Barstool, Will Compton and Taylor Luan, like great guys. He's like ruining this poor kid. And like, I think the guy played and has said like, I tore my knee. I was going to be unbelievable. And it just goes back to that. If you're living vicariously through your child and like your dreams and your goals, you're then putting in your kid's brain. And it's just sad because like now I did see this. I saw this kid months ago, and he's like going in like he's going on official visits and putting on the uniform for Alabama, Tennessee, and it's like I don't know if the schools were doing it or they were buying the uniforms, but it's one of those things where like there's an argument to be made that he's making money because if you have 350,000 Instagram followers, you're creating some sort of revenue stream, I would guess, but you're also like you're not even allowing the kid to have a childhood, and like it's just kind of a fucked up story.
Yeah, it's fucked up
to see like this kid's dad pimping him out there when you haven't even hit puberty yet, dude. Like what happens if he doesn't grow? It's a goofy story that unfortunately happens way more often than not now.
Yeah, have you never seen that 30 for 30 on Maranovic or whatever, the football player?
Oh, yeah.
He
Great
was taking the kid as a baby and like moving his arms and legs to try to like get him better mobility as a baby and like forced him right into football and created like a machine.
It can definitely fuck you up for sure.
Yeah, it made that guy, he went off the grid and like became just like a surfer and like had nothing to do with football.
He's no LeVar Ball, that's for sure. We're going to finish off with Army. He has some news from his neck of the woods.
Yeah, so just a little bit ago, the Penguins tweeted out in a loss in Pittsburgh, a guy that would have been around all of us, Stan Savran, the godfather of Pittsburgh sports media, passed away today, which is really sad. I worked with him as a host of Penguins pre- and post-game shows.
Stan was a great guy. That's sad to hear that.
Yeah, terrible news, and happened kind of fast, I feel like. I'm pretty emotional over it. I rode in a parade with him and my son in the second of back-to-back cups with Pittsburgh. Just a great, true professional, great teammate, legends of sports media in Pittsburgh.
Fun guy in the room too. Like he'd always come up, say hi. And he wasn't looking to grill you with anything. You know, he's just looking to kind of shoot the shit.
Oh, he was just like he was just a great guy and a true like dynamo of Pittsburgh sports media. So, with that, rest in peace, Stan. Love the show.
Sorry, I feel lost, Army.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Absolutely, Paul. Any other final notes before you wrap it here?
See everyone Tuesday at the Beer House.
Yep, today, guys, if you're listening, you're in Vegas, 1 o'clock at the Beer House. We'll be ready to go.
I'm going to give a pick. I'm going to give one pick, but all the picks will be on Game Notes Daily. What time?
Noon.
12 noon Eastern tomorrow.
So 9 a.m. tomorrow, you guys.
Yeah, holy shit.
Oh, Jesus.
You didn't realize that till now.
Yeah, I did that games 1 and 2 out here. Barbashev, anytime point, -113.
The cigarette machine. Do you like that picture, Busy?
Oh, I loved it.
There you go.
You
We
guys
ran
have been
into
buzzing.
him.
Yeah,
All right,
I
everyone.
saw that.
Have a great weekend. I will catch up with you later.
Peace.